Hey,
So wait. You got shot in the face by ICE?
I got shot
3 nights ago?
right here. Yeah, in fact, there's still blood in there if you want to see. I got shot. I was at Department of Homeland Security talking smack 4 nights ago.
Talking smack.
Well, you know.
Have like a sign out there?
No, I wasn't. No, I'm not a sign guy.
Good. That's good.
No, definitely not. I don't think that the people that are in charge of protecting us should be shooting us for exercising our constitutional rights. And because
I agree.
Let me start off with thank you for all the hospitality, man.
Of course. Thanks for being here, Dave.
No, man. For those of you guys that don't know, he's just hooked me up. The hospitality's next level. And believe it or not, I did not know. He told me to keep this a secret. I'm not. Jersey's nice. I lived right across the river. And you know what? It's a very well kept secret.
Stay
here.
there. Stay there. It's all, there's nothing to see here. Don't worry about it.
Nah, man, it's pretty dope. And so, yeah, I went down to Department of Homeland Security because I live right across the street from it in Portland. I look right at
They have that in Portland?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, not only Portland's like a punk rock, like kind of anti-authoritarian city. So
didn't know that.
Yeah, it is. It's not a war zone. It's not a war zone. But it depends on what your definition of war is. So we're sitting there. And they're pepper spraying us and stuff. And yeah, I've got the video on YouTube. I'll send you. Well, actually, I think I did send you the link.
Oh, you know what you did? Keep talking. I'll give that to you.
So, anyways, I'm speaking with some coarse language in there. But I really, as I was letting you guys know, I was going to law school in Mexico, so I have a pretty good understanding of what our rights are and the importance of having a constitution. And when our first, second, and fourth, and even sometimes sixth amendments are being violated, that's something that you have. It's a non-starter. It's a deal breaker.
Agreed. How about the fact that, because with things like this, obviously you get horrible moments in the news, and then it blows up into something way bigger, out of proportion as well. And like, there's a lot here that seems to be wrong, and it's a very tough topic. But how about the fact that the gentleman who was shot and killed the other day,
Alex Preddy,
right?
Preddy, yep,
practicing his constitutional right to be armed legally,
right, is
getting called out by Trump for carrying a gun. Like, Trump's the Second Amendment guy. Like, what the fuck is going on?
I don't know what's going on with most of my own party. I've never voted for a Democrat in my entire life, and I try to steer clear of politics. No, straight up. I am a gun rights guy every time. In fact, I'm a gun rights for everybody all the time. And I get that I lose people with that sometimes, but my broader point is when Trump said, take the guns first, due process second, after the Las Vegas shooting, he was in charge of getting rid of our bump stock bans, short barrel rifle under the administration of his administration of the ATF. And I'm telling all my conservative buddies, I'm like, hey, man, I'm not cool with all of this. And they're just like, it's going right over their head. Here we are several years later, and we've got this going on. And
what do you make of all of it, Dave? Because let's look at a fact here that unfortunately is true. Like, I totally get it that there were a lot of people that came into the country that we didn't know they were here, including a lot of criminals, and those types of people especially. You want to get rid of that. I totally understand that some sort of organization with the government has to exist to be able to carry that out. But when you see people getting hired on a Tuesday with zero qualifications and sent out on the road in balaclavas on a Wednesday, like, what do you think's going to happen?
It's just I've got a pretty expansive theory on everything that's going on about the whole thing, but every time I start talking about it, people think like I'm just looped. When I was in law school, I took the time to read the entire Trans-Pacific Trade Partnership, which is an agreement between 12 different countries, Vietnam, Australia, China's even entering it, which is basically a trade agreement that would put, and see, this is just a rabbit hole I can go down, just that all by itself, but it would basically thrust Americans that need to make about $6,000 a month in direct competition, labor-wise, against Vietnamese people that have to generate $600 a month. And so your 30-year mortgage is just later because your job is gone because it's being done in Vietnam. I read that. I read the entire Affordable Care Act, which the politicians themselves can't even read, and I read it. Long story short, I read all of the UN publications that are written in 1 of 6 languages: English, Spanish, French, Russian, Chinese, and Arabic.
What's up, guys? Thank you so much, as always, for watching my channel. If you have not hit that subscribe button, can you please do me a huge favor and hit that right now? I appreciate everyone who's been watching these videos consistently. The #1 analytic we need to get these videos into the algorithm is you guys hitting the subscribe button, though. And when you do that, we get them in and we can continue getting great guests. So thank you to everyone who's already taken the time to do that. And thank you to all of you who are going to do so now. Enjoy the episode.
And I know all those languages off the top of my head because...
Wait, what? You speak all of them?
No, I don't speak them all, but I speak Russian, Spanish, and English. And so I read these documents, Agenda 2021 and Agenda 2030, which are basically pushing towards world governance. And the UN has been pushing this even since it was the League of Nations prior to the World War II. And so I've been looking at all this, and the only way, the main obstacle between world governance and actually getting there is the armed United States of America, because you cannot force or tell an armed people what to do. And you're already seeing it, just a pushback internally against the Department of Homeland Security by admittedly people on the left, but even some people that are independent or even conservatives, and they're pushing back against it. But why are they pushing back? Because they have weapons and they can fight back and stand up for themselves. That's the entire point.
That's right.
So what do I think is going on? I think that the bankers or the powers that be in the world are trying to divide us internally.
You think it's the bankers doing that?
I think it's the people that are in control of all the material wealth in the world, definitely. I mean, you can phrase it as the billionaires club, but Saudi royal family, Rothschilds, but it is definitely the people. Lysander Spooner. Do you know who he is?
I actually don't.
He is a 1800s.
Lysander Spooner?
Lysander Spooner is an 1800s lawyer from right here in Massachusetts. And anyways, he wrote...
We're in Jersey.
I know. No Treason, the Constitution of No Authority. And he was a lawyer that challenged the United States government in terms of starting a postal service. That's him.
Huh.
And
Real Charles Dickens looking.
He was absolutely an anarchist. He was an abolitionist. And he wrote No Treason, the Constitution of No Authority. And in any event, he speaks at great length how people are capable, the people with money are capable to hire soldiers or police or agents or whatever, people with weapons that will sit there and extract more taxes and stuff out of people and further bolster the power that they have and the wealth. That's what's going on a worldwide level. It has been for a long time. So long story short, that's a long way to get around what's going on in the world. They want to divide us, and ultimately they want to divide us first to get us fighting against each other, which we already are, but also ultimately to disarm us, because you cannot usher in a world government with an armed United States of America. Won't happen.
I would love to say you're wrong about that, but I think there's probably some themes there that categorically you may very well be right about. When you look at trends, not just here, by the way, but look at all the other countries around the world that have successfully disarmed their entire societies, and look at the results we see there. Remember Australia with COVID and all that?
I do see that. You know, there's mixed results, but that and I know that I probably don't have all the details verbatim correct. However, I think that the broad strokes of it are true, just based on what I've learned in law school and seen in life. But then, and you bring up Australia, which is a great point. During COVID, they're sitting there sticking people in camps, literally. And I'm a gun rights and a freedom kind of guy. You know, I really used to be kind of closed-minded and grew up openly racist because of gangs in LA.
We're gonna get to your
we'll
story.
Get into that. Yeah, but I mean, I've really changed the way that I've thought about a lot of things in a lot of areas. Gay marriage is one. If I was gay, I'm married, happily married to my wife, have been for a long time. But if I was gay, I wouldn't want a government or anybody else telling me who I could spend my time with if I enjoyed being with them. And when I realized that, I'm like, you are only as free as you allow somebody else to be. And also on top of that, being a Christian, my God gave me the free agency to go out and commit any sin that I want. I have to answer for the consequences of that sin. But in so doing, I get to learn the lessons that I need to learn as a Christian to bring myself back to God, just as the prodigal son did in the Bible. So all these things that I'm saying are not even like radical Christian beliefs. It's right there in the Bible. Yeah. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. But the gun control thing, let's talk about Mexico for a minute. As you guys know, and one of the main reasons why I'm here is the work that I did in Mexico against the cartels. I just want to say to my haters that are just waiting for the cartel to take my face off, skin my face, because I have some haters out there that want that. They had a chance. Every day I was in uniform for years. I'm still here. It could happen. You guys, I'm going to make you wait as long as possible, though. Just the people are like ugly in the comments sometimes, man.
You can't worry about it. It's the internet.
No, man. I'm happy because they bolster the algorithm, man. And so, I want to thank you for piping in. In Mexico, I'm for real, man. I'm totally.
I know you are. You're just funny, Dave.
It is funny, man. In Mexico, we got 2 gun stores, and they're both run by the Mexican military. And by the Mexican military, I mean the army. So if you want to buy a weapon in Mexico.
So the cartels.
No. The army. I
know, but like half of them are on the take from the cartel.
Well, because I've got a home in Mexico, so I'm easy with like I tread on I walk on eggshells when it comes to that subject. Gotcha. But and the people that are in the army that I've met and worked with are by and large honorable people. Are there corrupt people there? Definitely. But in Mexico, you're not allowed to own those weapons anyways, which Mexico of those calibers, which are AR-15s, AR-10s. So basically 223, 5.56 by 45 millimeter rounds or 7.62 by 51 millimeter rounds. You're not allowed to own anything of that caliber.
But all the criminals do.
Correct. And not only do they own them, they're being sent to them by Eric Holder, the Department of Justice, and the ATF Fast and Furious, which, this government that's supposed to protect me, shoot me in the ear with a 40 millimeter incendiary pepper spray projectile. It's right there. It's still bleeding. If you want a close up, I'll give it to you. Or sending weapons to Mexico, which also I'm fighting against, and not just me, but my brothers. And this isn't a country that has strict gun control. So, I mean, how well is it working out? Not very.
Not very well.
No.
We do see that over and over. That's one issue I feel like, especially COVID itself. I already mentioned it with Australia, but even here, you saw a seismic cultural shift in what people thought about, including, by the way, in my opinion, just based on people I talk to, a lot of people who I would describe as like very firm liberal people have really softened on that. Like, I get it, owning a gun, and it's not the guns that kill people, and it's people that use guns to kill people, and all the criminals end up getting their hands on them anyway. So that is an issue that's kind of moved in society, and I think you're underscoring the greater point that like we got to remember what has happened in other places and what could happen here to be able to avoid dystopian realities in the future.
I totally agree with that, and it's not hyperbole. I have spent the larger part of my life being apathetic politically, and I can't do that because when I do that, there might be people that don't care and they just sit off to the side. But what that does is that it creates a window where people that very much are power hungry and want control are able to just come in and take over because I'm not voting because it doesn't work or whatever. And really, I'm kind of against voting too. You have people that are lazier than you, don't work as hard or whatever, aren't as intelligent as you are, have different lived experiences, different cultures, and they're just getting here, whatever. There are a lot of things, but these people oftentimes outnumber you. And so when they're talking about we the people, and they assume that it's just this large group of people, but it's not. There are people within that group that are either apathetic or disagree, one or the other, don't have as much money or wealth as power. For example, how much does it cost to become president in this country? Get to sit there and vote against your interest as a group, as a block. So, I mean, we're not even united in voting as a whole. I don't know what the answer is, but I do know that when you reward people for not being productive, or when you reward people that aren't as intelligent as you are, meaning like, hey, let's drive the car off the cliff, and then the smarter guy in the vehicle says, hey, man, that's not a good idea financially or whatever, just as a metaphor, metaphorically speaking. I don't think that they shouldn't have any say-so on the way that their life is run. Definitely not. But they're free and they should be able to live as they want.
Did you know that there's an online cannabis company that ships federally legal THC right to your door? And that this company has found a way to combine THC with carefully selected functional ingredients to create gummies, baked goods, flour for whatever type of buzz you'd want? Well, the company I'm talking about is mood.com and their incredible line of cannabis gummies. And right now you can get 20% off your first order at mood.com, link in my description below, by using promo code Julian at checkout. Forget one-size-fits-all supplements that only get you high. Mood's functional gummies are optimized to kick in as little as 15 minutes and take you directly to the mood you're looking for. I personally love their Mind Magic gummies because they focus on deep work and creativity. You see what we do here. It's a good vibe. And I also always mention their Sexual Euphoria gummies, which turn every action and every touch into a full-body experience. Beyond gummies, Mood also has a selection of flour, pre-rolls, bakery treats, and beverages. Now let's be real, you can find gummies that just get you high pretty much anywhere these days. But Mood's functional gummies combine premium, federally legal THC with targeted botanicals to help you get into the perfect mood, usually in as little as 15 minutes. And everything also ships discreetly right to your door. That means no dispensary lines, no awkward conversations, just better days and nights delivered to your doorstep. Best of all, not only is every Mood product backed by a 100-day satisfaction guarantee, but as I mentioned, our listeners are going to get 20% off their first order by using promo code Julian at checkout. So head on over to mood.com, link in my description below, and let Mood help you discover your perfect mood. And once again, don't forget to use promo code Julian at checkout to save 20% off your first order. Try it today at mood.com.
But when we talk about just creating this huge welfare state that rewards people that aren't productive, I'm kind of against that. And I think that we need to have a discussion about that as a country too. A lot of stuff going on.
Yes. And I agree in the sense that when you incentivize people to live in what I would call uncomfortable comfort.
Right.
Right? That you get addicted to. It's very similar to like someone that goes down the pathway of like being hooked on horrible drugs.
Correct.
And they're comfortable in the moment they get their high, but their life is completely fucked. And I think that there are parts of our society with, you know, what you call a welfare state and stuff that should be looked at to be able to get people to be more of a community again.
Well, we're seeing it right now in Minnesota. You know, I mean, I'm completely against everything that's gone on in Minnesota. And you know what? Kudos to, what's his name? Nick something.
Nick Shirley.
Yeah. Kudos to, hey, Nick, if you're watching this, kudos to you for having the wherewithal to go out and even pull the covers off of that story. I mean, that's huge because that's your money, my money. We're all working and it's just being taken gross advantage of. But really, the Somalians aren't even the people that are responsible for that. You know who's responsible for it? Our government. Our government allows that to happen, and they're the experts on both sides. And I think that we've got all this just, I don't want to say chaos because it's not chaotic. I think it's very structured, that people behind the scene are fomenting this discord on purpose to create a divide on purpose. But there are people that allow this stuff to go on. And I got a job in Chaska, Minnesota, managing a factory. And so it was, I'm going to leave the company name out of it, but the guy was paying me $10,000 a month bonus after 2 months to move from Louisiana up to Minnesota at the time. As a result of this, he was renting me his house in the interim while I was looking for a place. And I didn't wind up liking the guy. I was there for about 3 months. But he had been renting his place to Somalians previously. And I'm not bashing on Somalians. It could have been any group of people. But they came back, and you know those yellow and brown IRS refund checks that we get when the government sends us a check? It's like,
yes.
There were 4 of those checks, and these Somalians came back to go get their mail because their welfare checks or their remittances had been sent to that address, and they came, and there was 4 of them, and I'll never forget it. I'm just like, wow. And, you know, I gave them their mail. It's not mine. But I just remember thinking, you know, I'm paying the taxes on all of that. So are you, and so are all of us. But it's not their fault. It's the government that's allowing that to go on. And if they're opening up, we got, I don't know how many law enforcement agencies in this country. They're opening up childcare centers, and there's not even people there. The people that are supposed to be protecting us again have completely dropped the ball.
You're right.
So
you're right. And you said something earlier that ties into a quote that I would like to think I invented, but I've never Googled it. So I'm sure someone smarter than me said it before. But, you know, when you were talking about what the powers that be want in society, it reminds me of this thing I've always said, which is a divided society is a compliant society.
it is.
When you get people to disagree on the hottest button issues where maybe their ideas for what the solutions for how to get to a solution are very different and make said groups of people hate each other over these things.
Right.
When in fact, the end result overall, maybe not on an issue to issue thing, but overall, people generally want the same things: health, family, and happiness, right?
They do.
When you distract from those priorities, which are at the summit of any great communal society that's ever been built in world history, and you bring people down to levels of all this noise, you, meaning the powers that be, whoever they are, can kind of move the peasant avante on the strings, if you will, and do all the things behind the closed doors that no one's paying attention to. There was this great story. I've cited this before, so apologies to people on the podcast who've heard me tell this a few times. But my buddy Danny Jones talked with, God damn it, I can never remember his name, but he talked with this guy who had been a long time New York Times journalist for like decades and decades. And this dude was the bureau chief, I believe, of South America in the early 1980s at the New York Times. So he tells, that guy told Danny this story back in 2021 on that podcast, that when Carter left office, he knew Carter, and he had been maybe like a year or so out of office, and he heard Carter was coming to South America, wherever he was also going to be. And so he's like, all right, I'll hit him up, see what's up. So he goes and he gets a drink with Jimmy Carter. And they're sitting there talking, and he's like, you know what? It's been long enough. He's been out of office for a year or two. Let me fuck around and ask him some questions off record here. And so he's like, what's it like? He starts asking him, like, what's it like to be president day one? And Carter's just like, dude, holy. He starts explaining it to him, and he goes, I invited in every living president to come in and give me advice on how to do the job, regardless of party.
Right.
And so the journalist is sitting there like, all right, I'm going to ask, who gave the best advice? And Carter got this big grin, and he said, Nixon. And he's like, why Nixon? He said, because Nixon didn't fuck around at all. He walked in there and he said, listen, Congress doesn't let you do anything domestically. All these people fight for bull taxes, healthcare, whatever it is. It moves 5% this way, 5% that way. You can't do but the foreign policy, that's where you got the power. That's where you can fucking do things. And I always think about that because that's where the world runs. The world runs on all the things that happen, like technically, like literally outside of our borders, and what meetings happen and who's doing what and where the money flows and where, like people look at the finances of economies and like, what are you basing it off of? Are you basing it off of the dollar or the yen? Is it the BRICS winning or is it the US winning? Like these things are what actually trickle down to you being able to live your life in freedom and prosperity back here in America.
100%. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which is basically what humans need, doesn't change all that much from one country or one language or one culture to another. People basically have the same set of needs. But you were talking about
Stephen Kinzer, I think his name is, but we can check that.
Yeah, you were talking about foreign policy. Mark and I were having, shout out Mark, man.
Oh, shout out Mark Gagnon. He's the one who hooked us up, by the way. Everyone check out Camp Gagnon.
Right across the bridge. You're not here, but whatever.
Yeah, Mark's got an amazing podcast. He's been on my show a couple times.
I love Mark, man.
The best fucking guy, man.
The whole crew, man. Just talking about foreign policy. Mark and I were talking about Venezuela back in November, and here we are. We're over in Venezuela taking the oil, specifically what he wants. And I gotta say, principles, I try to live a principled existence, man. And discipline, you have to discipline yourself or life will do it for you. And so I'm sitting here thinking it's not okay if we have a bunch of guns and superior strength and going over, stripping all the natural resources out of Venezuela, which the Venezuelan people need to build infrastructure, to provide jobs for them, strengthen their economy, what becomes of them? And I hear a lot of my conservative brethren, and I do vote conservatively. I'm a libertarian, but I vote conservatively. Or all like, no, we need to go in there and take care of American interests and stuff like that. But if someone was to get together a posse of people that was armed and went into whatever conservative's house, and just because they had might makes right type deal, goes in and removes them of all of their hard-earned things or whatever they have a right to, and took it, they'd be like, oh, that's against the law. But on a national level, we're going to do it to Venezuela. A lot of times politicians will try to keep us divided. And if we start uniting behind something like Alice Pretty and all these people being killed, then they'll want to get us into a war. And war is actually a population control thing. And that's what war is for. Yeah. It's for controlling population. That way people can't get a large enough group to go against the government. And the police and the powers that be don't protect us. They protect whatever institutional or the infrastructure and the political power that's in control. That's what they protect. They don't protect anything else. And you learn that in law school too. And so it's just, that goes back to Lysander Spooner also. I don't think we should be in Venezuela. There's just all this stuff going on.
Yeah, and that's my first thought too. And I think sometimes people mishear this in the argument. What you're not saying, and what I've certainly not been saying, is that like for the Venezuelan people, if they could have no Maduro or Maduro, we're not saying like, oh, it's better with Maduro. No, clearly like they have a way better opportunity now potentially. Right. With not having that guy there. Like he was a despot and a communist. And
without a doubt. I don't like him at all.
The question though, shouldn't be like it's not a big brain thing, is like, should the United States get involved in removing the leader of a sovereign country?
No, definitely not. And I'm just going to say it. Let's just get in trouble. I just got shot in the head like I was talking about with that pepper ball thing. I was down exercising my First Amendment right because I think that every American, regardless of religion, creed, race, whatever, has an intrinsic right to their life, an intrinsic right to speak whatever it is they want to say, even if it's blatantly racist. I'm just going to say it. Reason why? Of course, racism is abhorrent, but you cannot legislate the way people need to think, because if you do that, then you prevent the free flow of ideas, which is a dangerous thing, because if you shut off the spigot to someone being able to vent, someone else to being able to challenge your ideas, then you're building a time bomb or a powder keg to where it's just going to blow up. We have all these things going on here in this country, and I don't want China coming over and being like, you know what, Trump's no good for the American people, or Barack Obama's no good. That's for us to decide. That's right. Here domestically at home. And the same's true. Principles, they don't bend for anybody, man. And the same's true for the Venezuelans. Is Maduro bad? Totally.
Right.
But it's not our business.
And you know what? I try to be as objective on stuff like this as I can. There's two things that are immediately true, that are score one for one team, score one for the other team. Number one, Trump broke a campaign promise to go in and remove the leader of a sovereign nation in quote unquote regime change, which is something he campaigned that he wasn't going to do.
Right.
So that is a broken promise. Number two, no boots are there on the ground, clean fucking unbelievably executed mission, in, out, no civilian casualties.
Agree.
So right now it's there. However, Dave, I've been saying to people when they ask me like, well, what's your opinion on this and everything? Of course, I have the same fears you do, and I don't like the idea of any regime change whatsoever. But I'm like, if I'm going to be fair and objective here as best as I can, just look at it on the facts, I'm not going to be able to have an answer for that for probably 1 to 2 years.
No,
because the second, third, fourth, fifth, seventh, and fucking 40th order effects that can happen from this, precedent that could be set or not set, precedent that's good for the U.S. or good for China, which are two very different things, or both, or a mix, or how the Venezuelan people, once they settle into their newfound potential freedom, start to feel about all the fucking gringos coming in to share 50% of their oil that they used to have 0% of, but now they're like, well, we should have 100% of it, which I would totally understand. You don't know how these things are going to play out. And so you have to, in my opinion, you have to let that happen. However, if I see this as a precedent that leads to like, oh, you know what, we're going to do the actual regime change in Iran, which is now like a holy war type situation, setting off a powder keg in the Middle East like you're George Bush fucking 3.0. And then therefore, by the way, China goes, oh, fuck, now we're going to take Taiwan. Well, now it's a fucking disaster, right?
Taiwan's going to be a problem with all the microchips too. I mean, they've got different types of chips that they produce domestically and in Taiwan. And the different types of chips that they use, Taiwan produces a certain type of chip. It's escaping me right now, but they have different types of chips. And if China decides that they're just going to take Taiwan, it's going to be an issue. And the reason why is since Trump's been in office, he's threatened Mexico, threatened Canada, threatened Denmark in terms of Greenland, threatening Iran, Venezuela. The Turkish generator ship that was off the coast of Cuba left, so Cuba is relying solely on Venezuelan petroleum to power the entire country of Cuba. I have a Cuban soldier, ex-Cuban soldier, that's a friend of mine that I've wanted to do an interview with, but he refuses to in case he gets deported because it could mean his life if he goes back to Cuba and he's spoken out against what goes on in Cuba. But there are large sections of Cuba that only, and he's told me this straight up, that only have power for up to 2 hours a day. And you just yanked already, and you just yanked all the Venezuelan crude out of there. So there are all these different countries that are strengthening their resolve against us collectively as a unit. We need to really start thinking about the relationship that the United States maintains with everybody. And as you were talking about, the presidents have a huge amount of sway per Nixon on foreign power. Right. But if we start wielding that club like it's just a dragon's tail going through, laying waste to everything, and everybody in the world decides to galvanize against us, we're going to suffer here at home. And we'll get into Mexico in a little while, but people, the main reason why I started my podcast is I want to make sure people are armed with the facts. Whatever the facts are, I don't care what the data is. I don't care what people think or make or do with the data as long as it's accurate. If we go to war with Mexico, for example, it's going to destroy us here economically at home. All of your cheap avocados, your burgers over at Carl's Jr. or whatever, White Castle, you can forget it because all the cheap beef and everything that's coming over to the United States from Mexico, the autos, Nissan factory in Aguascalientes is just huge. There's so many things that's going to just really damage our way of life here in the United States, as well as those in Mexico, and it's going to bring about a lot of suffering that was unnecessary. So there's a lot to this.
Yeah, and that was the really disingenuous part in the build-up to the Venezuela thing, which was happening for basically a year. When Deep and I went to Paris and Rome back in December, it was actually one of the easiest trips I ever packed for. I knew I wanted to have kind of that Euro look, which includes some nice, beautiful jeans, and I had all my jeans ready to go thanks to Rag & Bone. If you haven't joined their movement yet, it's time for you to upgrade to Rag & Bone's infused denim. Let me tell you about it. If you're like me, in the past, you've had to choose between jeans that looked great or jeans that actually lasted. With Rag & Bone, you finally get both. Jeans built to move with you, hold their shape, develop character over time, and give you some massive stilo on top of it. With multiple fits, from slim and straight to relaxed or athletic, there's a style for every preference or occasion. These aren't just your average jeans. They overdo it by design, with premium denim and construction that make them stand out while still feeling effortless. And believe it or not, the wash is where infused denim actually really shines. Each pair goes through an 8-step overdye process, giving rich layered tones and deep dimensional shades that look polished yet effortless. Over time, their color and texture evolves, adding even more character with an authentic, lived-in touch. Chef's kiss. They're comfortable, sharp, and built to last. What's not to like? So join me and upgrade your denim today with Rag & Bone. For a limited time, our listeners are going to get 20% off their entire order using code Julian at rag-bone.com. That link is in my description below. That's 20% off at rag-bone.com with promo code Julian at checkout. When they ask you where you heard about them, please support our show and tell them I sent you. Where you had people, including after we did it, like Hegseth saying, yeah, this is about the drugs. I'm not saying Venezuela didn't move drugs. Of course they did. But they already removed the Cartel de los Soles from the fucking indictment on Maduro because that was a made up name.
Right.
And as far as the volume of drugs goes, Fucking Venezuela was moving 3 baggies in an 8-ball compared to what Mexico moves.
I pulled the Department of Justice PDF data from 2007 and also the PDF report for the drug threat vector from the Drug Enforcement Administration from 2025, and I compared the data. And
how long are these documents, Dave?
Huh?
How long are these documents?
They're pretty long, but I read a lot, man.
I love it. It's
so
great.
anyways, in the 2007, it's actually 2006, but they published it in 2007 from the Department of Justice. Out of the threat vector, there's a PDF there. I'll have to send you. In fact, I probably got it on my phone right now.
Which one?
It's a PDF in there.
Which phone? We got the bat phone over there.
Well, actually, I've got 2 of them because of my podcast thing.
Wait, did D find it? Is that it?
Yeah, here you go. Go down.
Dude, he's the GOAT. Deep's the fuck.
Yeah, no, that's pretty badass. So if you go all the way down, just go Control F threat vector.
It's like Mike Pence.
Okay, you're going to have to go down. I don't know if they'll have it on there because it's a PDF. It's a graphic file in there.
Western Caribbean.
There it is, right there. Go up.
Oh, boom.
So anyways, this is a different one. This is, but it's in the archive thing. I'm going to get up out of my thing.
Please. Yeah. Let's hit that camera 5, baby.
Look at the Venezuela threat vector, Puerto Rican, U.S. Virgin Islands, Haiti, Dominican Republic, and then you look at the Eastern Pacific, and you got people on Twitter reposting Spanish boats and drug seizures and acting like it's relevant to Venezuela. Forget it, because over here you've got less than 1% coming out of Venezuela. So when you got all of your conservative buddies online talking about those aren't fishing boats and stuff, first of all, it was a Spanish drug seizure. Second of all, your own Department of Justice in 2007 is talking about less than 1% coming out of that vector. And then the Drug Enforcement Administration, which is yet another PDF, drug threat assessment. If you look at Venezuela, it's mentioned exactly 6 times in the 2025 PDF, of which is talking about Tren de Agua being here in the United States, selling drugs at a street level. So Venezuela is so far removed from either being a provider of fentanyl, which it's not, it's only cocaine.
That's right.
So when people are having these conversations, I don't care if you want to be hillbilly Jim in the middle of the hills, burning crosses or whatever, just have an educated argument, man. If you want to hate people, I'm not going to tell you what to think, but when you're telling me that fentanyl is coming out of Venezuela and those aren't drug boats or fishing boats off the coast of Venezuela, they're not fishing boats there at all because there's no drugs coming out of Venezuela to begin with. And second of all, where more than 50% of the drugs are coming, which is in the Pacific, you're not blowing up anything. So don't tell me. It's what it is, man.
Agreed. And that's one place I'll give Trump some credit after the invasion. The only word coming out of his mouth was oil. Well, we like the oil. Then he has all the oil executives coming in 3 days later. Like, Trump, at least he's honest.
Yeah. Good on you for being honest. Yeah, we want their, okay, that's cool. I don't agree with it. I think it's wrong, but at least you're honest.
Yeah. So it'll be very interesting to see how it plays out. But you raise a great point about the issue with Mexico, because it's fun and dandy and like also maybe also categorically correct to now officially label the cartels in Mexico narco-terrorism organizations because of what they do. However,
I'm not going to disagree that they're terrorists. They absolutely are, man.
But the complications of labeling terrorist groups in your literal neighbor country and closest trade partner right there,
right,
in an enormous population, all the problems they may have, the fifth order effects of that,
I agree,
are nuts.
Well, there's been a lot of to do about all the ICE immigration stuff. So you'll get into, we all do it, I'm sure, get into banners with other people, bannering online with other people that have opposing viewpoints. Mm-hmm. And they'll talk about due process, even though that's not what you said. But since they brought up due process, let's bring up due process because it's a big deal in habeas corpus. The right to confront your accuser in court, again, something directly from the 6th Amendment in the Constitution. People don't give a damn about the law is what I'm finding out, as long as they are the ones wielding the power. And so this is a problem because, again, we get back to principles. There was a guy by the name of Padilla back in 2014, I think it was, and he was out of Chicago. He was an American citizen. The guy was a scumbag, without a doubt, and it was proven in a court of law that he was, and he's in prison right now, I believe, still to this day. But they labeled him a terrorist, and they stuck him away without charges, without access to a lawyer, without his day in court, with an indeterminate sentence. And this is something that's reminiscent of secret prisons in third world countries. And that's not what the United States is supposed to be. No matter who he is, what he did, it could be a child molester. It doesn't matter. You have to give anyone accused of any crime their day in court. They didn't do that, and they got away with it because they labeled him a terrorist. So we have to be careful when we label people, whoever it is, because sooner or later that label is going to be levied against us too. The second, and it's already been stated, and I'm going to say this clearly, Christy Noam or even Hegseth, I think, might have said it about Alex Preddy, the guy that was just unalived. They were calling him a domestic terrorist for defending a woman that was pushed down violently. Then the guy was beat in the face with a can of pepper spray. And I've been pretty apathetic because I'm kind of just like a libertarian, let people do what they want. But I'm down at Department of Homeland Security the other night, like I was talking about, because when you are a guy that's not breaking any laws, it's a nurse protecting veterans, the guy sitting there protecting a woman that was just shoved violently to the street who herself was not doing anything. It was not a protest of any sort. They were not inhibiting the officers from doing whatever it was they were doing. It was just wrong.
Yeah.
And you have to speak up because if you don't, who will? So
and good for you for doing that, because it has been really disappointing to me to just, and I'm not surprised at all, just to see immediately how quickly the, banners close and everyone gathers around what the narrative needs to be, especially like from the administration. My friend Jorge Ventura was just in here again.
I watched it.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Yeah, he's the man. Jorge he's the son of legal immigrants from El Salvador. He has quite literally, he's covered a lot of things as a journalist, to be clear, but he has made his career covering the border crisis and the things associated with that from a very human perspective. And he is a guy who, through his journalism over the last 6 years, has also been one of the many brave people who has exposed all the massive human rights problems that are happening because of our border issues and the mass immigration that goes on. So there is no one who, I would argue from a journalistic perspective, is more understanding who would be more understanding of the idea that certain people need to be removed from this country for sure. And yet, you heard him on camera, off camera as well. He spent the day here, talking with him. The concern that he has for how things are just being assumed to be handled is very real. And he was talking with a guy. He told the story on the podcast. He was talking with a guy. He was in D.C. the day of the first shooting with Renee Good, and he's talking with someone who's a part of the administration. Suddenly the shooting goes down. The person goes, I got to go on Fox News right away. Goes on Fox News, and I guess I didn't see it, but I guess he reacted somewhat honestly to it. And the White House flipped out. No, that's not the narrative. Wait, get the fuck off TV. We got to get out in front of this. And now the second one, which is this one appears to be more straightforward, at least from what I can see. Shoot me in the comments, but that's what it feels like. They're again coalescing and being like, well, no, he's a terrorist. He shouldn't have been carrying a gun. What the fuck are we doing here?
Kash Patel.
Yeah, dude. Oh my God. Get that guy the fuck out of the FBI.
You know what?
Hey guys, if you haven't already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. It's a huge, huge help. Thank you.
The whole J6, this is, you know what? I hope you guys, you don't have to like me, but I just want to know how it is congruent in your universe, J6 being armed and at the White House, literally within steps of the Capitol, but people are not allowed to be sitting there filming, not part of a protest, and be armed at the same time. And Kash Patel, I don't know how you do it, because you have to take a stance on certain things being public like you are. You've got a big podcast, and so people aren't always going to like what you have to say. And that's a risk of being open about what you have to say. Mm-hmm. There is nothing, Kash Patel, in that Constitution anywhere where it says we're not allowed to be armed at a protest. One, right off the bat. Second of all, you guys have created all these gun-free zones in federal buildings and et cetera, which also shall not be infringed. It's pretty clear. And then there's people getting into semantics about well-regulated. I don't want to get into that. Why haven't they codified the Declaration of Independence, which makes it super clear that your rights come from not a constitution and not a government, but from your creator, to the right to liberty, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness?
Wait a minute. All right, you're getting a little legal on me. What do you mean by codifying it officially?
Codifying it, which means that without exception, you have a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We hold these truths to be self-evident. Mm-hmm. It's right over here in Philadelphia. Anybody can take a day trip.
Constitution Center. Yep.
Right. Go look it up. I've done it myself. I encourage you to do it too.
Great place, by the way.
It is. It's dope, man. They got, oh man. Yeah. If you ever want to see like how much money the Federal Reserve has, how much they spend, it's right there too. You can go check it out, man. The security on that place is amazing. They got one in San Francisco too. That's pretty dope.
He's like checking the fucking exteriors. Like, couldn't get in there.
Sorry. Actually, you know what? I do. I scan that stuff. I do. I 100%. I go through my head. You know, not that I'm encouraging anything or plotting anything, but I'm just think
stopping a potential attack. That's
I'm just wondering if, you know, because I'm curious, man. So, codifying the Declaration of Independence, that the government derives its just powers, exact quote, from the consent of the governed, which I also submit that they've got probably 5 or 6 different types of consent. I think there's 5, but there's tacit, express, explicit. There's all these different forms of consent. And they assume that you consent to Alex Pretty being unalived for carrying a weapon in broad daylight in defense of a woman. And I'm pretty sure that the American public, a large portion of them, do not consent to that.
That's right.
So I would like to see more done with the Declaration of Independence being codified, which means making legally structured law with a jurisdiction, when, by whom, like on what date. There's 5 different elements. In Mexico, there's 5 different elements of a crime. So when you're creating a law in Mexico, you have to have like the verb, what it is, by whom, whether it's law enforcement or whoever, because the jurisdiction, when it's permissible and when it's not. There's all these different elements. Oddly, what is it, 250 years now?
Yeah, 1776. Yeah. We're coming up on 250 this summer.
So in 2.5 centuries, they couldn't codify that. I don't want to get into the Constitution. The Constitution we have right now technically is illegal.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, it's
big
wild,
claim, Dave,
dude.
Frank.
So anyways, the original Constitution in this country was the Articles of Confederation. Mm-hmm. Didn't work very well because there was no executive government, and they needed the ability to get tax or gather taxes. This was supposed to be done. The Constitution was supposed to be voted in unanimously per the Articles of Confederation, which it was not. I think the vote was 9, and there was 13 colonies at the time. The other ones, Rhode Island was the very last one to vote, and they twisted their arm. It was also supposed to be discussed in public, and it was not. So technically, from a legal standpoint, the Constitution that we have, and Lysander Spooner makes all of these arguments too, isn't even legal with that. There's just so much that's gone on. But I think that the most important document that we have in the entire country is the Declaration of Independence, because it's what gave the founding fathers to break existing law at the time, which was the English Crown, and come up with something that's worked out arguably a lot better than
yes.
The United States is just a great country.
But don't you think that the Constitution is really the foundation of what makes that great, regardless of whether or not at the nascent moments of a nation that wasn't even a nation yet, that had just won this long, brutal war, making something called the Articles of Confederation just to throw something together, regardless of whether or not they ended up bending those initial rules a little bit to make the Constitution work? Do you not think that, like, they wrote a pretty fucking good document?
I do agree. I see that point. But where I'm going to push back on that point a little bit is what we're seeing nowadays is that the government, the Constitution is not written to restrict you or myself or any of us. It's written specifically to restrict what the government can and cannot do. And any powers that are not enumerated or ceded directly to the federal government or to remain with the state and the people. However, what we're seeing play out in our country, this is our country. We don't have any other place to run. Is that the government carves out exceptions for itself through executive orders, through emergency powers. Anytime, any place that they want to just carve out a little niche for themselves, they do. And this is the problem with the Constitution: is it's not worth the paper it's written on, because anytime the government wants to violate the restrictions therein, it does with impunity.
The other issue here, though, is the geniuses who wrote it, and I say that literally, like it's a genius document, and the things those guys did are amazing. You know, they lived through the independence. They lived through trying to make this beautiful experiment right here. They had literally the blood stained on their cheeks from that war, and they understood what it stood for and what this all meant. And it doesn't mean they got every single thing right. They didn't. I mean, obviously, like, they didn't abolish slavery at the time. Right. It should have been done. Like there were, don't be wrong, like they're still imperfect for sure. But it's like,
well, in their defense, they couldn't hamstring an economy that was working and had been working for quite a while previously. And I mean, by quite a while, I think the first people that showed up here from Europe got here in 1605. In fact, I'm certain of it because I was just looking at Virginia Beach last night. That's where they landed. They didn't land on Plymouth Rock. They landed in Virginia Beach. It was 1605. And I don't know when the first slaves got here. In fact, one of the first slave owners was actually black. But they had been having this economy exist for about a century.
Yeah.
And they could not just hamstring the entire South.
There should have been, I will say, like, if I'm going to give them all the credit in the world for the great things they do, I have no problem looking back and giving them criticism for mistakes there. And I don't buy that argument at all. I think that there's a way, like, even something that would be completely uncomfortable and against my standards, that would just be like a dirty compromise, would be like a fucking drawdown period.
Right.
Like, okay, we're not going to sign this and make it illegal tomorrow.
Right.
But starting now, first of all, here's all the rights every slave has as a human being. Secondly, there will be no such thing as a slave in 5 years or something. Now, if it were up to me, you just fucking get rid of it right there.
I agree with you.
But if you're going to do that, that should have been on the table. And there are men who were in that room who firmly disagreed with slavery morally at that point, who decided not to raise that kind of compromise. And even someone I love, like Ben Franklin, who wrote about this and was against it. Like, I'll criticize him for that, because he should. It didn't need to be 0 or 100. Even if I wanted it to be at 100, you could have done the 50 mile per hour route, and no one did that.
No, I totally agree. Where I was going with it is a lot of the Europeans that came over under indentured servitude, which is kind of what my take was on it. Slavery is inherently wrong. Yep. I want to make that super clear. Yeah. But they had a lot of people that came over. A lot of the Irish came over as indentured servants,
that's right.
And which is also another form of slavery. But you do have the ability to exit it at some point in time, and you're not being beaten to death.
That's right.
So, without a doubt, totally see that point. Do I think it's a great document? Yeah, it's great. But there's problems. If you can just ignore that document at will, which they can, through any one of their powers, they just call something an emergency, and that's it.
There's also, though, like, think about the guys, the most famous guys who signed it. I just named some of them, with George Washington and Ben Franklin. Like, George Washington's the guy who, before it was like actually created in codified, you know, set like that precedent, what was supposed to be a precedent of you stop at 2 terms. He took his hands off the reins of power.
Right.
You know, and sometimes George Washington, like, I've studied his life, and amazing man to be clear. But sometimes it's like, you know, he would do things where he'd act like he didn't want the job, or, you know, oh, I'm not worthy of that. But a great example was, like, in 1775, he goes to the Continental Congress, where they're going to be deciding on who the general of the new army would be.
Right.
And he gets nominated there, and he gets up and talks about all the reasons why he shouldn't be the general and he couldn't possibly take this honor. but he's wearing his military general uniform from the British Army from when he had that
showing
type of
them
position.
that he's completely capable of doing the job.
So he's not like this perfect holy Jesus kind of character or whatever. But he was an amazing guy who understood where power could go. And I think part of that is what I was saying about seeing the cost in blood of what it takes to win freedom gives you a better understanding of being able to see your freedom to get the most power. And we don't understand that as the generations go on because we don't get invaded. We don't see war here. Guys get their most fucking, run off of being a suit in a back room, getting that power, and they never want to give it up.
Right. No, I agree with you. I like what you said about we haven't seen war here. One of the things that was immediately apparent living in Mexico for 10 years was wars, including a civil war. Once you live where that war is at and you can't escape it, like there's no leaving it, it's going to change your attitude about it completely. I promise. And I'm bringing that point up because there are a lot of people that are really flippant about whether war is a big deal or not. They just think that, oh, it's no problem. We'll go in there and wipe them. No, you won't. And I want to bring that up. I was listening to yours and Ed's podcast here before I came here today.
Calderon?
Yeah. And he's another reason why I launched my channel. But
great guy.
Yeah, he's cool. We got to do an interview finally, and I'm glad that we did. In fact, I look forward, him and his business partner, Eddie. Cool people, man. I was watching that podcast, and it's always interesting to me just the gravity of having hundreds of thousands of people dead or just disappeared. And people act like man, I don't want to upset. I respect veterans a lot, but I take issue with the entire vet bro community here in this country, including Navy SEALs and including Green Berets or Rangers, talking about what goes on in Mexico as though they have some type of expertise in it, because they don't. And they do not. About what goes on in Mexico? Definitely not. They do not have expertise about what goes on in Mexico any more than I have expertise about what goes on Coronado Island when they're training Navy SEALs. I've got no idea.
I'm not saying you're wrong, but can you just explain why they wouldn't have any expertise on that?
Yeah, because you have to live it. You have to be there. You have to be aware of what goes on in the culture, whether or not you're in danger when you leave base or not. They have no idea what it's like to go on a mission and not have backup coming. They're reinforced by the greatest military, arguably, in the entire world. They are 1,000% top-notch professionals at everything that they do. What they don't do is fight a drug war in cartel country and go home in that war zone forever. They don't live in the war zone they're fighting in. It's completely different. And I'm saying that from the perspective of Ed's lived in it and fought it. I have. GAFE 423 has. Countless members of Mexican police, agents, and soldiers and Marines have fought this war, and all top-notch professionals in what they do, which is wake up every day and go fight a war that they live in every single day. And the thought that just throwing more violence at something that has not worked to date any more than the drug war has been successful here in the United States. You have people over here in Kensington bent over doing the fentanyl lean constantly, even though they've got myriads of agents and police officers pointed directly at that problem, have not yet been able to solve it. Just going off half-cocked and starting a war with Mexico is the wrong move. And one of the main reasons why I started my channel was to try to get more Mexican journalists that do speak English, that are bilingual, that live in Mexico, cannot escape a drug war, are not there on a tourist visa like other people might be, and that are published and aligned with major Mexican news outlets, which is to say that they are solid professionals in their field. Having them become more exposed and gaining them more exposure. I don't care about my channel so much. I'm not a big deal. My country and my home in both countries is a big deal. And the well-being of everybody in both countries, in each of those countries, yours, mine, everybody's, is a big deal. I'm small potatoes. I'm going to be dead here in another 15 years. I mean, no.
You've lived like fucking 40 lives so far. I don't know why you can't live another 40.
If you think about the importance of, and bear with me, outside of a generation from now, I won't even be a thought in anybody's mind, man. Really, none of us will.
Right.
Our grandchildren, once they're gone, we're going to be forgotten.
We're gone.
But the quality of life for everybody else that's left, and I mean, if you really love your country, if you really are a humanitarian, if you really believe in your Christian beliefs, which I do, because I did not always, you want the best for your fellow man. And just to sit there and be like, oh, I'm going to be gung-ho and support, you're not even going to go fight it yourself, because a lot of people that support a war in Mexico aren't even the ones that show up to go fight it. And this is what really pisses me off. If you're going to fight it, then I'll be like, okay, I'm pointing that pointedly at politicians that are warmongering. When you have people that are going to suffer, you're going to unleash that suffering. I'm against it. And if it does happen, let's just make sure that it happens being informed, have a measured response, have a clear-cut goal, not like the global war on terror where there's no clear, the Maduro thing. They had a plan, exactly who, what, when, this is how it's going to happen. And there are clear metrics on whether or not that goal succeeded. You have to have metrics. You have to have a timeline. You have to have defined objectives. And when I'm going to the war on drugs, on cartels, it's not defined.
It's not defined at all. And also, when you say that, this better than anyone, when you say the word cartels, that's what you have to call it, because they are a bunch of cartels that are running the place. But they're all different factions. They're in all different places. They got all different motivations, styles, different ways. I mean, the way they swing the blade's different,
Right. I will never forget. It's funny that you're right here, too, in Jersey. So when I came back to the United States, I'm right there, and I'm living in Brooklyn, but I'm in Manhattan right there at the detention center. And I remember Joaquin Guzman.
Wait, were you a guest there? Or?
No. I was walking by it. You can't even drive by it. No, I was definitely not there. But Joaquin Guzman was, Chapo.
Yeah. And
we've been chasing him all over the country. And I just remembered how odd it was that I'm sitting just a few feet from this guy, because he's up there in that brick building, man. And that we couldn't get him. But having caught him, what happened after that is it had a splintering effect to where now when you say cartel, this is why I'm bringing this point up, you just cut off the head of the snake and 2 more appear. Then you cut off the heads of those snakes and now you got 4, and et cetera, et cetera. People want to do drugs. They want to do it. They've wanted to do it since Prohibition. So this is not something new.
Right.
And they've had this war on it since Prohibition. We're still having this problem a century later, even though there's been billions and billions of dollars poured towards it. There's been politician after politician after politician talking about they're going to be tough on crime, but we still have this issue. This funds the cartels. So this is one of the major drivers of cartels and their organizations is the illegal price or the profits that are generated once you make something illegal.
How about the fact they're also being used? I mean, I've talked about it now in a few recent podcasts. I want to go through the whole thing again and bore people, but I've had Matthew Hedger on here, who was a CIA knock, whose job was to infiltrate the cartels and not stop them, but be a part of them for access, to be able to do what was labeled as more important things for national security, which means as an expert money launderer, which is what he was trained by CIA to do, he directly created an environment for the cartels to profit more. He's a guy, he told the story right here about how he flipped a top 10 guy to top 10 bank to normal dude.
I was watching that. I didn't watch the whole thing.
It wasn't even blackmail. He just flipped them psychologically to launder money for the cartels.
Right.
And it's like,
I think he was sitting in a hotel bar or something like that. And then he was sitting there and he wasn't throwing the hook out there, but he was just making it seem like he was into some shady stuff, and then got the guy to be like, yeah, I was watching this.
Yeah. And it's like, the same government that wants to create war on these organizations has a part of the government that's using it. And then how about and Mike Benz obviously talks about it, but everyone talks about it as well. They've dealt drugs on the streets of the United States as a part of some of these missions.
The Ricky Ross thing, being from L.A., and I was there for L.A. That went on.
Can you tell people who Free Rick Ross is?
So Freeway Ricky Ross. Yep. So we've got a lot of Bloods and Crips and stuff like that in L.A. It's absolutely the gang capital of the world. And Freeway Ricky Ross was one of the people that was a cocaine kingpin in L.A. that was prolific. Johnny Mitchell said I was a prolific drug dealer. I was not a prolific drug dealer when I was just nickel and diming. Freeway Ricky Ross was dealing cocaine on a level that was supplying half, if not most, of LA. And the CIA knew about it. They were allowing it. They were allowing this to generate profits for the Contras against the Sandinistas to fund their little drug war, their little foreign wars. And this is something that the American government allows with regularity. If it's not that, it's the ATF, Fast and Furious guns. They're constantly doing stuff to bolster the enemy and their profits, and then at the same time, in the same breath, say that they're fighting against them. And this is to your point. And the gentleman that was the CIA knocked that was sitting there laundering money for the cartel, they're sitting there. It really pisses me off because we're talking about protection earlier with getting shot in the ear with that thing, and this government's supposed to protect us, but then they do all of this stuff. And living in Mexico as a Mexican, you see dead people in the streets all the time, man. I can't count. My wife and I cannot count how many headless people we've seen. It's not been hundreds, but it's been several at this point. And you see people hanging from bridges. It's talking about one of us saying that the body is a gift. And in a way that is true because a lot of times there's mass graves that I've also seen that,
You've seen them personally?
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen.
Where'd you see a mass grave?
There was one by Valparaiso. Yeah.
Who did it? Who did it? And what was?
I don't know. I wasn't part of it.
How'd you come upon it?
You come upon it and you cordon off the scene. And they've got different types of police.
You do.
Yeah. Yeah, you cordon.
You call the cop?
No.
Oh, this is when you were guarding the Mexican general.
Yeah, this is at work. Well, yeah, not just guarding. We were part of GAPE, Grupo Aeromóvil Táctico Policía Estatal.
We're going to come to that, people. Don't worry. We're going to fill that in.
So you're working in Mexico, and there's different types of police in Mexico. And basically, they have reactive police, which is what I was, which is called Policía Preventiva, or agentes. And then they've got ministerial police, which are in charge, whether it's on a state or a federal level. They're in charge of investigating stuff. So when you come across something like that, really what you're going to do is you're going to secure the area. Then you're going to set up a perimeter. You're going to allow the investigative police to come in, and they're going to do whatever it is they do with forensics and all of this. And you do touch on forensics in school, even in law school, but that's their specialty. That's what they do. So they come up with who, what, when, where, and all of that. What you do is you go make sure that they're not going to be blown up. Like there was just recently, it was in Jalisco. Some of my brothers were blown up with an IED. Yeah, the cartel called them over and then they detonated it, man. And it's not funny, but it's just like
it's what they do.
It's another day. But then at the same time, in a very serious and somber tone, there are millions of people that are subjected to that level of violence every single day that have nothing to do with it. And it is important that the people that report on it get it right, have it backed up, have their stories corroborated and all of this so that everybody collectively can glean all the information that's available to come up with a strategy that works and betters the lives of everybody, but also at the same time come to a general consensus on what the right thing to do on what the right way to attack this problem is. So this is,
yeah, and I want to come back to that and fill in all those details as we get along. This has been great to like talk about all these different things going on in the world right now, and there's some other stuff I'm sure that'll come up later that I'll hold off on. But you know, for people who have been listening here for the last hour or so, talk and give all these clear, like, you know, directions of crazy different things you've been involved in your life. You know, that's what Mark was saying as far as you being like a psychological experiment. You've just seen a lot of shit. Like where are you from in the first place? And how do you become a guy that you are now, having basically fought wars with the Mexican government against the cartels? You're in law school reading the fucking TPP.
Not law school yet. I'm finishing the computer science degree.
So you're going to law school and you're reading the TPP and the Affordable Care Act on your spare time?
Well, actually, the law school in Mexico, correct. That is true.
Like, so who are you?
I was born in L.A., man. And I'm a Vietnam baby. No disrespect to my mother, because I believe that you got to honor your parents. But, you know, my biological dad, the transsexual one that
The transsexual one?
Yeah, my
don't know about
biological dad is a post-op transsexual, dude. Right off the top. And on top of it, he's kind of like the Navy SEAL guy that became a transsexual.
Chris,
his last name starts with a W, I think.
Yeah, we can find it. It was Sean Ryan episode 50, I want to say.
So anyways,
yeah, Chris Beck.
Chris Beck, that's the one. So my biological dad was a tunnel rat in Vietnam, and before he left, he was knocking off a piece, and which I get, because you're going to Vietnam and you're going to die. You're 17 or 18 years old or whatever it is. So of course you're going to like hook up and then bail. And it wasn't, in his case, it was voluntary. That actually both the fathers that raised me, I've got two dads. My biological dad, who I love and I still talk to this day, every single day. Love that guy. Who's living as a man again also, not unlike Chris Beck.
He's living as a, okay.
Yeah, but he had converted back to me. So that was my dad, and he was a tunnel rat, and he was getting sent over to Vietnam. My mom hooked up with my brothers and sisters' dad, but when I was born, they gave me away to a doctor and lawyer couple in San Francisco, even though I was born in L.A.
Wait, okay, hold on. Let me make sure I'm following this.
Yeah.
Your mom has a different father for your brothers and sisters.
Right.
But she hooked up with your Vietnam tunnel rat dad.
Right.
Young, had you, and then you were given away to a different couple?
The day I was born. I didn't have a name for 2 years. I was given away. Yeah. There are dogs, there are pets that get named faster than I did. So anyways, my brothers and sisters' dad was a combat Marine that was just coming back from Vietnam. And anyways, for whatever reason, and she was pregnant with me when she hooked up with him. And my mom was smoking pot with Charles Manson too. On top of it. Yeah, man.
Hold on.
Yeah, dude.
It's the most confusing map I've ever seen in my life.
Dude, it's way out, man.
Okay.
It's 1969. You know, just all the haters. Let me just break it down, okay? There is a thing called Santa Susana Pass that connects Simi Valley and San Fernando Valley. And I get a lot of shit. Forgive the cuss word, but I do. I get a lot of shit from my haters.
You're in New Jersey. It's okay.
So anyways, to all you jerk-offs out there, okay? There, we'll use a New Jersey term for you. That want to say I'm making stuff up. You know, I wish I would have gone and done everything correctly and that my life was a little different. That's not the way that it was. My mom was smoking pot with Charles Manson.
How is she smoking pot? Let's start there.
Okay.
What was she doing with Charles Manson?
So my mom is friends with this lady called Debbie, and I'm going to leave her last name out of it. Debbie, her last name starts with a B. That's her last name. Debbie lives in Simi Valley. My mom lives in the San Fernando Valley. And so connecting these two at the time was not the 118 freeway. It was a place called the Santa Susana Pass, which is this windy canyon road that goes between the two. So it's just basically a little 2-lane road that goes through. Right. And back then, because of Hollywood and everything, they used to shoot a lot of Westerns out in the San Fernando Valley because of all the sandstone and stuff like that. It makes great Western movies. A guy by the name of George Spahn has a ranch out there. Charles Manson takes all of his girly friends over there and gets a place to live. Because I'm not making any suggestions towards Mr. Spahn. I'm just going to say that he did, and it's well documented, allowed these people to stay on his property. My mother and her friend were hitchhiking either to or from Debbie's house, wind up getting picked up by Charles Manson. They go up there and they're dropping acid, taking styrofoam packaging peanuts and gluing them on the wall, tripping balls, smoking pot. Charles Manson is filling up my mother's back and other backs to make sure that these hippie chicks are not wearing brassieres on their back, not in their bag, because you see all these weird comments on there. That's what's going on. My grandmother, who is the 1950s version of June Cleaver, who was born in 1921.
June Cleaver? I'm not familiar.
Leave It to Beaver's mom.
Oh, okay.
Wholesome 1950s, doesn't do anything. My grandfather was kind of, he was not faithful to my grandmother. And my grandmother, after they got divorced, never married again. And she lived to be 84 years old. So, I mean, very staunchly religious, was in church so suffice it to say, when she found out that her oldest daughter was going up to this place, getting high on drugs and stuff like that, she made my mother go up there with an undercover LAPD. My mother was so afraid that she never went up there again. Yeah, dude.
Your mom went to Spawn Ranch with Charles Manson with an undercover cop.
That is correct. He was wearing a leather jacket, Ray-Ban aviator sunglasses or whatever. And she was so fearful with his fake ass mustache or cop mustache or whatever, the way that she explained it. She never went there again. And about 6 months after that, the Tate LaBianca murders happened. Yeah. God. So all my trolls in the comment, I was born in April of 1970 and if gestation's 9 months, okay? Do the math because I don't even know what it is, but you can look it up for yourself. You know, we're just going to look this up right now because I want to see.
69.
No, I got to see. I got to see, Julian, because, you know, you got it. If you're telling the truth, you're telling the truth. What date did the Tate LaBianca murder happen? August 8th of 1969. So
you were a little seed.
I was a little seed in my mom's womb, okay? It's right there. Blow me, okay? No, because I get so tired of having this YouTube channel. I'm sure you've dealt with it. You're a pro. I'm still a rookie at dealing with my trolls.
Of all the shit you've done in your life, all the places you've been, the people you've had to fight, the guns you've had to hold, the bodies you've had to see, the bodies you probably had to drop, you're worried about the YouTube commenters.
I was a seed. I was at Spawn Ranch, okay? Just start there. We'll just, okay? Yeah, no, I'm a stickler for details, Julian.
Yes.
You know, I did get messages from Mark. I did get messages from his team and from you guys, and we're going to be friends from now on because we're good people. But you're going to learn. Yeah, you're welcome. You're going to learn that I'm a stickler for details, man. I don't give a shit what the data is. Whatever it is, it is. So that's the data for you, for my fan section out there in internet land. Yeah, man.
So your mom's smoking pot at Spawn Ranch with Charles fucking Manson. She gets scared when her mom, Leave It to Beaver's mom, tells her to go up there with an undercover cop.
Bills the scene, dude. Yeah, man. So anyways.
Did Charles ever try to contact her again or anyone associated with him try to contact her?
No, not to my knowledge. The most that I knew about it after that was
you sure Charles ain't your dad?
I don't know. I don't.
All right.
I'm going to yeah, man. Totally kidding. Hey, that was a joke, dude. No. Okay. I'm almost 1,000% certain that my biological dad is my father. I refuse to take a DNA test for other reasons that have to do with biological weapons and stuff. We'll leave that one alone, man. Yeah. So anyways, my mom stops going up there and they give me away in this adoption too. My original name was Michael Pelican, I guess is what they called me.
Michael Pelican?
Yeah.
What a name.
That's what the doctor and lawyer at Frisco named me. That's what they were calling me. And my mother never told me about this. And she died the day I got home from the Bering Sea. I was fishing and crabbing in the Bering Sea for a while. And I get home and my mom has this aneurysm and she dies. But she had never told me about this. So I learned about...
Wait, so you didn't know you were in the custody of a doctor and lawyer at one point?
I did, but only because I figured out... I've been pretty kind of precocious. I mean, you know...
Uh-huh.
All of my brothers and sisters, there's 5 of us. There's myself.
Who's brothers and sisters? Original mom?
Yeah.
Okay. Not doctor lawyer.
Not doctor lawyer. I don't even know who they are. I've looked for them and tried to locate them, but I don't know.
Your life could have been a lot different.
It would have been a lot different, but they were beating me. And yeah. So my mom got me back, dude, which is how I finally made it back to my mom. I guess she'd gone to visit me or something. I had bruises all over me. She got me back.
How old were you? 3?
Less than 2.
Oh my God. They were beating you?
Yeah, dude.
At less than 2?
I don't know what went on in my life, man. You know, and hey, I'm not looking for a pity pot or whatever, man. I got a fucking great life, dude. My wife is the best person ever. I speak these languages. I've been all these places. My life is good, man. I'm not rich, but I mean, I make a pretty comfortable living. Yeah. I drive a nice truck. I'm not bemoaning my existence at all. But the childhood is what it was. And so anyways, I didn't have a name for a long time. She gets me back.
How did she get you back, Dave?
They just went and picked me up. My grandmother got my mom. They got in the station wagon. They drove up, picked me up, and drove right back down.
Oh my God.
Well, it's only an 8-hour. LA to San Francisco is only an 8-hour drive, man.
Yeah,
so,
but they just like took you back.
Yeah,
They're
so it's like
citizens arrest.
Yeah, it's not much worse going from here to Washington, D.C. You can make it a day trip, dude, if you really want to.
Had that couple officially adopted you?
No.
So
I was
did that
giving it
work?
away in an illegal adoption, didn't have a name. If you look at, so I'm getting into how I figured this out. So anyways, my brothers and sisters all got single page birth certificates. In my case, I have what's called a report of live birth, and then what's also called a supplemental name report, but dated 2 years after I was born. And my birth certificate actually was made out of microfiche at the time, the way that it looked. So it doesn't even look like a one-page document. Yeah.
Microfiche?
Yeah.
I don't even know what that is.
Holy shit. Okay, microfiche.
I live in New Jersey.
It's like, okay, just think of it like negatives, except they're smaller and you look at them underneath a microfiche viewer. So kind of like a magnifying glass. Anyways, that's what my documents are. The originals on them. They've since updated it to where it sits on a regular type of, I guess it's embossed paper to where you fill out all the data, just like your birth certificate or mine or anybody else, except there's 2 pages of it. But the originals were black microfiche documents, my very original birth certificates. That's what they were. And I figured out that something had gone on with my birth because all my brothers and sisters' birth certificates had a name on it, a complete name. Mine didn't. Mine had even my biological father's, my brothers and sisters' dad's last name on it, his occupation as U.S. Marine, my mother's name on it, but I didn't have a name at all. No first name, no second name or whatever. They just put his surname on there and I was off to the races.
Why did your mom...
She never told me about it.
Were you the first of your brothers?
I'm the oldest, yep.
Okay, so let's take one sidebar for a second. You said your mom died way later when you came back from the Bering Sea of an aneurysm.
She died at 49 years old.
Oh, okay. So how old were you, 30?
Yeah, more or less. Yeah, I'm 1 month behind my mother. My mom was born in March, and I'm 1 month behind her, plus 17 years.
Okay. So was there any kind of conversation that happened later with her about what her thought process was during this period when she gave you up for an illegal adoption? You said you never got to talk to her about it.
Yeah, I never got to talk to her. In fact, the day she died, my brother's got a big split on his chin. My brother's gargantuan, but he came over and he was saying something, and we got in a fight, and I busted him in his chin, but he had told me that my mom had given me away or whatever. And I knew that she had, but I never really hit her up about it. And my aunts and uncles all told me, which is kind of also like how you wind up in Mexico, because Mexico happened after my mom died, believe it or not.
We'll get there. Don't worry. I just want to.
It's just when everybody in your entire family, my family watches these videos. In fact, I'm in a difference of opinion with my favorite aunt right now over the shooting with ICE. But when your entire family sides with your mom your whole life, even though you have a right to know what went on with your existence, you know that you can't even count on your mom. You know that you can't count on anyone in your entire family. You were completely fucking alone, man. And I mean, it's not that my mother didn't love me. She did. I don't need a hug. My mom was very loving. I mean, I wouldn't trade my parents for anything in the world, but it does let you know that, you know what, you are on your own. You don't need the fucking government. You don't need anything, because the only one that's there to take care of you is you. No one's coming to save you. So you figure this shit out, dude. And that's kind of like how my life went. And
do you forgive your mom for never?
Totally. I can't even begin to imagine what it must be like to be 16 years old and pregnant. And albeit it was 1969, so they're kind of hippies and they're kind of accepting, but still, it's pretty conservative. It's a lot more conservative than it is these days. Definitely not accepted. So totally, man. I can't even begin to fathom what my mother must have been feeling or going through. So yeah, I'm not upset with her at all, man. I would pick my mother again 1,000 times. How about that? Yeah, totally. Wow. My mom's awesome.
I'm glad it turned out that way.
Yeah,
that's a hell of a start you had. But think it's also, I don't even know how that works. It's like
my dad's awesome too. Both of them.
It's very foreign to me, the idea, because like it's an illegal adoption and all that. But like for her to like go up there and literally take you back from these people who were doing that to you is a very brave thing to do. And then she's your mom at that point, and then she has other kids as well. But like, what was your childhood like growing up?
Magical, dude.
Magical.
So
Not
she
the
gets
word
me
I was
back.
expecting.
No, it was no, dude. Seriously, it was awesome. So the Mississippi River is basically the dividing line for Marines. So if you're going to deploy to Vietnam and you live east of the Mississippi, you go to Parris Island. If you live west of the Mississippi, you go to Camp Pendleton. And so anyways, the dad that raised me was a combat Marine, but he was just east or just west of the Mississippi, rather, in Iowa. So he was as far away from California as you could get. So when they got together and they had their first son, my younger brother, they moved from California and went to Iowa, and that's where the next in line was born. And they got me back because they were going to have a kid. And so my first initial few years, I learned how to shoot by the time I was 4 years old. Grew up on a corner. Yeah, I knew how to shoot before I knew how to read. Real shit. And we would shoot rabbits, ringneck pheasant, squirrels, and we eat it. I chipped a tooth on buckshot. Yeah, man. That was
Dothraki with a sword.
Yeah, no, that was my childhood, man. And
you remember your first time shooting a gun?
Yeah, it was just a little 22. Yeah.
And you're like 3, 4
years old. Well into my 4th year, but I mean, yeah, I'm not in school yet. Yeah. And my dad had these Rock'em Sock'em Bopper gloves, man. The combat Marine dads, both my dads are like very hardcore people, and I'm sure that they seen a lot of stuff and did a lot of things in Vietnam. So they weren't, and even my father to this day, he's very eccentric. No offense, Dad.
Which one?
The other one's dead. The one that raised me is dead.
Okay.
But the biological one's still alive, and he was just in the VA. He's got health stuff going on, but they're both very hardcore people, man. And so the dad that raised me, he would pump up these rubber Rock'em Sock'em gloves, and it's filled with air, so it doesn't really hurt, but he would hit it so hard that our head would hit the ground out in the yard before, and we just thought it was funny because it doesn't hurt. It's just like getting pushed really hard.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so anyways, we would, that was our upbringing. We had corn and pigs. We would play in the pig slaughterhouse. And
play in the pig slaughterhouse.
Yeah, there was a slaughter.
For a boy from Jersey, can you explain what that means?
So in Sioux City, Iowa, they got a lot of meat packing plants and stuff like that. And so my dad's, I call him both dad, but anyways, the dad that raised me, his brother lived right next to one of them. So me and my brother, we would sneak off and we'd go play in this. And
you'd play in it.
Yeah, we'd go run in there, sneak in there and play around and shit.
Just chill with the pigs.
No, not the pigs. They're all dead. They're all hanging and stuff like that. They're processing them. It's 1975. It's a different time.
So you like Rocky? You fucking hitting them?
No, fuck no.
Like,
but you're in there tripping out, man. I mean, you're like exploring. It wasn't like it is today. Like a typical day on the farm we would be forced to do our chores, like during summer and stuff like that. And then we're just told there's no video games. We're told to go outside and play.
What kind of chores would you do on the farm?
Shoveling out pig stuff, cleaning your room, mopping the kitchen floor, whatever it is, doing the dishes. And then as soon as you're done with all of that, you're outside all day long. And by all day, I'm talking like 8 or 10 hours. Mm-hmm. So we would get these big tractor inner tube tires or tractor tire inner tubes, blow them up, stick them in the river and go float down the river. And I mean, these days it would be considered child neglect or child abandonment. Your fucking kids 3 miles away drowning in a fucking heavy current. But no, and there were these big leeches that were attached to our legs and stuff like that. So we'd have to pull them off like on that movie Stand By Me.
Yeah.
Exactly like that. That was my childhood. And anyways, dad was the dad that's deceased was kind of very hardcore. Him and my mother would do the deed once every Wednesday, every night. Yeah. Consummate their marriage or what? Not consummate.
Like in front of you?
No, definitely not. But I mean,
how'd you know he was,
My mom would talk about when they got divorced when we were older.
She's telling you later that they
Right.
would fuck on Wednesdays.
Exactly.
Wow,
So
they had it scheduled. That's hardcore.
he was very regimented. Like just this morning, like I was telling you guys, I was up.
It's at 0700.
I was up at 2:30 this morning working out in the gym, dude. And then I got yelled at by my wife for being awake because she's 3 hours behind us. And I called her while I was working out. She's like, you need to go to bed. And then I go to bed and I wake up and it's like, it's not even 4 o'clock. So I mean, came here last night to check out to see what your place was like before I got here today.
Oh, you were here?
Yeah.
You were looking at my place.
I came here to go see what was up before I got here. Yeah. I do this. It's not me and it's not being distrustful. It's, my dad was always like that. So I got that. And so like I never sleep in or anything. My days off, I go into work, just driven in everything you do. So that was kind of like what my childhood was like. And a lot of it came from just being thrown out of the house all day long to go do whatever you need to do. You are in charge of you. You're in charge of your own success. You're in charge of every single aspect of your life. And because we lived in Iowa.
How long because you said you were eventually in LA. How long were you in Iowa?
We moved back to LA when I was turning 14.
Oh, so you really spent a lot of formative years
I spent a lot of time in Iowa is what I'm getting at. And
is that when, I'm just saying this because you mentioned earlier, you're like, I grew up racist. Or
I did.
Is that where you developed
We're almost there. So Iowa, just to wrap it up, because you don't live in a city or anything like that, we would go to the meatpacking plant when we would visit my uncle, and we'd go fuck around in the meatpacking plant because they're up there just talking, doing boring. And my uncle lived in an apartment. It was just boring bullshit. So we'd go off and do that. But because we lived on a farm, our only escape was to read the entire set of Britannic encyclopedias. There's nothing else to fucking do, man.
It's clocking now.
So anyway, yeah, you read all of these encyclopedias. And my mom had 2 sets of encyclopedias, the Encyclopedia Britannica and then the History Encyclopedia. So you learn about the Civil War. I screwed up. I had to delete a video because I misspoke. The Civil War was actually 1861 to 1865. Right. And I said that it started in 1863 instead of 1865. So I had to delete the video because I was off.
You deleted the video because you said the wrong year? Just put a correction in. It's got it.
No, hey, man. Like, so I computer program. And if you have you have this stuff called white spacing. And if your spacing is off even one space, you're going to get a runtime error or whatever, syntax error. Details are important, man. So anyways, we get back to LA. And I'm going to school, and let's take a bathroom break and we'll get into LA.
All right, we'll be right back.
All right, cool.
All right, we're back. So we just left off, as you said, where you moved to LA when you're 14, having read all of the Encyclopedia Britannica. Right.
So 2 years before we moved back to LA, too, there's a divorce and there's a split. And I wanted to hang out with my dad because I loved being on the farm and everything, wrist rockets, shooting.
So your parents, do you remember like what led up to the divorce?
Oh yeah, totally. My dad was kind of, he was not very affectionate. And the stepdad, Dorey, it was a very violent relationship between he and I, and we did not at all get along. And so this is the guy that replaced the dad that I called dad growing up.
Right.
So biological dad, then the stepdad.
Right. We're gonna get to the stepdad.
Right.
But let's keep this straight.
Yeah.
The man that you called dad, did you know he was not your biological dad when you were a child?
No.
Okay.
No.
Just for 1 second,
I figured it out right at the tail end, right before they got divorced.
Okay. And you were saying he wasn't the most affectionate guy, and you could kind of see the relationship.
They got divorced when I was 9 years old, and I figured out something was going on with the birth certificates when I was 8.
When you were 8?
Yeah. Yeah.
How'd you figure that out?
Because I read a lot, man. So like my mom taught me how to play chess when I was like 5 years old. Yeah, it was 5 years old. I had a 4-year-old birthday party in Audubon, Iowa, the sitting horsey toy, and my mom was teaching us how to play chess. I was learning how the knights move in an L shape. So my mom was like always really encourage us to read and stuff like that. And so we were reading before we went to school and whatnot. I mean, she'd sit there and learning how to shoot, learn how to read, go to school. and then learned how to play chess shortly thereafter. So yeah, I was looking at the birth certificates when I was like 8 years old, and I'm sitting there figuring this shit out. And it's not rocket science, man. You got one's one page, there's another one that's one page, and at this point in time, it was myself, my younger brother, my younger sister, and the last two had just been born also, one in 1977, the other one in 79. So right before the very last one was born. So there's 4 sets of birth certificates. Mine, my brother's, and then my 2 sisters, and then there's another brother. And I'm looking at all of them. They're all one-piece documents, except mine's a 2-piece document. And I'm looking at all of them, and they've all got names on them, except my first page doesn't have a name on it. And I'm looking at the dates on it. I'm like, wow, there's a 2-year period between this one and this one. And so I start putting it together. And I'm not really certain what went on with it because it says that he's my dad, because actually my biological dad's not even the one that's on my birth certificate. It's the guy that's raising me. So I start figuring stuff out.
At 8.
Yeah. Yeah, at 8 years old. And it's just...
I think I knew how to tie my shoes at 8.
Nah, man. My mom was... she was something else. They always encouraged us to going to church, learning how to make stained glass, learning how to do all kinds of shit, man. I had a great childhood. My mom would make these my mom was a professional pastry chef is what she wound up being. Yeah. So we had a great fucking childhood, man. Moving to LA was also cool, except his stepdad was like pretty violent, man.
All right. So when did stepdad come into the picture before you moved to LA?
Yeah.
Where'd your mom meet him and what was his story?
In Iowa. So my dad took off to Canada for like a week on his Harley, right? And my mom, that was right towards the end, and we weren't feeding the dogs. The dogs were starting to kill the pigs. Spade, my dog, I saw him tear apart sheep violently in front of me. Yeah, it was
at like age 9?
Yeah, 8 or 9. And that was gnarly. Yeah, I got this scar right here, taking my bike down. The things were just in disarray, man, in general. And that was out on Rural Route 2 on Carroll, Iowa on a farm. And I'm certain that it's all been developed now, but back then it wasn't. And I'm watching this dog. I remember everything going on. I'm watching this dog tear the sheep apart and sunlight coming through the wood slats. So anyways, we go camping because my dad's not around and the bills aren't being paid. And this stepdad's coming into the picture. And I'm not old enough to really understand what adultery is at this point. No disrespect, Mom, but this is just what it is. And I'm not judging you at all, man. But we go camping and my mom and my stepdad are in this thing and I see them become intimate together. So it was real, man. It's like when I was 9 years old.
Like make out kind of deal?
No, like intimacy, not intimate like they're kissing or whatever, like the full deal, man.
Did they know you saw them?
No, they thought we were all asleep because we're out camping. We're all sleeping in this great big like 8-man tent or whatever.
Oh, you were all in the same tent?
Yeah, in a tent. And
that's
yeah, it was kind of gnarly. And but also at the same time, like my mom had these Joyous Sex, it was a Joyous Sex books, and it's a set of books. Can you pull that up?
Joyous Sex?
Yeah, Joyous Sex book. You'll see what it is right now. Because I asked my mom about that. But it's the 70s, man. So is that on the...
It's such a useful phrase. It was the 70s, man.
It's the 70s, man. It was. The Joyous Sex. Okay, these books, there's 2 of them. There's this one. The first edition, and then there's another subsequent volume. So anyways...
Wait a minute.
Yeah, dude.
All right, so the Joyous Sex, it was a top New York Times bestseller for 11 weeks, for 70 weeks in the top 5 from 72 to 74. The original intention was to use the same approach as such cookbooks as the joy of
cooking. Isn't it fucking great,
It's like
man?
fucking for dummies.
Yeah, dude. So when you look it up, like they got all that Kama Sutra shit and stuff like that, but this is like Kama Sutra except for Americans, right?
Yeah.
And it's got all these pictures in it. And I asked my mom, I'm like, whoa, man, what's up with all this, dude? Because, I mean, I'd seen my dad's Playboy collection and stuff like that, but I asked my mom about this, and she told me that she would rather have us see that than see all the violence on TV. And it was just weird because there was really a lot of violence going on with animals when I was a kid too. But my mom was
Violence
also
going on with that? What do you mean?
Oh man, yeah. Well, because we were hunting and killing stuff. So I mean, and processing children, or processing pork and stuff like that. There was a lot.
Yeah, you gotta be careful there.
Yeah, no, but I mean, just there was a lot of violence growing up. I'm just gonna say that.
So your mom, I want to understand though. Your mom, as an example, thought that like you understanding and being familiar with fucking was better than going with your dad to shoot deer.
Totally, because my dad was like very standoffish. My dad that raised me never told me he loved me once until I turned 18.
He didn't seem like that kind of guy.
No, and I told him too. I'm like, yeah, I love you, Dad, because I do love my dad. I have a deep, undying respect for both of them because they're just great people.
So you said it first.
Yeah, I would tell my dad that all the time because my mother was very nurturing and stuff like that. And when I turned 18, like he would hit me, give me like a black eye when I was like 5 years old for getting into his guard gear shit, which I get, you know, and I'm not saying that you ought to like lump up your kids, but when you're getting ready to go deploy for your National Guard stuff and all of your shit has been gone through and it's not ready, I get it.
You're 5.
Stay out of my shit. Hey man, you know what?
It made me a better person.
It did. It did 100%. Hey man, I'm gonna take some flack for that. You know what? I don't care. Soccer moms go right about it. I'm like with it, man. And you know what? I wanted to stay with Dad when they got divorced too. The judge did not let me stay.
Oh, you went in and asked the judge?
I told him flat out. I'm like, I don't want to stay with my mom. I want to stay with him. Straight up.
When you were like 9?
Yeah,
10?
dude. Totally. And I didn't even know that he wasn't like my real dad. Yeah, I wanted to stay with him. I loved it, man. Shooting, out and doing all that shit on the farm.
Like, my mom's a fucking hippie.
Right. Exactly, dude. I mean, just, dude. So anyways, the stepdad and this guy are intimate. My dad takes off to Canada.
Wait,
so
stepdad and guy are intimate?
My stepdad, the stepdad and my mom are intimate.
Okay, all right. That's
my dad takes off to Canada for like a week, and we're all wondering, like, what the fuck? They divorce. We go to 1218 North Court Street, Carroll, Iowa, when we live in this fucking house, and they have these parties and shit like that, and they're partying, but that's the house that we moved.
The stepfather did with your mom.
That stepdad lived in. Did not like him at all. We would fight constantly, man. In fact, I was talking about it on another thing. You know, one time I was told to clean the dishes, and if you're gonna die, the best way to die, straight up, is to be choked out because you get tunnel vision and you fall out on the floor and you don't feel anything, man. That's it. Very painless.
You have experience with this?
Yeah, my stepdad was choking me out until I got tunnel vision and fell out on the floor, man, because
obviously didn't die. I mean,
didn't die. No, I came back too, but I mean, yeah, dude, that was my childhood.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm. I got a great big scar on the inside of this lip.
Wait, so he choked you out to the point of...
They would line us up in a circle, my stepdad, and he would sit there and smell our breath to see who ate the chocolate cake or whatever, and then hit us in the head with a broomstick. And yeah, it was gnarly, dude. One time my mom and her friend Kathy Mayer went to Canada, man. I pissed the bed till I was like 13 years old, dude. No, for real. And I would wear these, I was wearing these plaid pants. And I remember this guy, I wake up and he's like sucking on my nipple, dude. My mom's nowhere to be around. And I get up and I'm like fucking 12 years old or some shit. I was never sexually molested per se, thank God.
I mean, what is that?
It is, but it's not, it didn't go any further than that. It scared the fuck out of me, dude.
Who was this guy again?
Dar. I'm going to leave his last name out of it, but it's my stepdad. And so my mom took off with Kathy Mayer to Colorado, and I'm on the top bunk. My two little brothers are on the bottom bunk, and I'd pissed the bed that morning. And I wet the bed until I was like 13 years old for some shit. And they would have doctors come over to like look at, see what was up with me or whatever. And I don't ever know why, because it just stopped happening. When we moved to California, it stopped. But I woke up, I sat bolt upright, and I'm so fucking ashamed of it, man. I can't even believe I'm talking about it. But you know what? Since we're doing this, let's just do it. And I sit up, and I'd wet the bed, but I had those plaid pants on, and I jump out. I'm like, I got to go to the bathroom. Just super afraid. And I feel so ashamed that I left my two brothers, my younger brothers, there with him. And I wasn't gone long enough for him to have actually done something with it. But I went upstairs because our bedroom was down in the basement. And I ran all the way up to the bathroom on the top stairs. And it was like 2-story house with us in the basement. It really wasn't a basement. It's like half a story below, like the first thing. Run up and I smell like all this strawberry jerk off lotion or whatever. And he was drunk. He'd been up stroking his shit. I'm certain of it now. Being an adult, I get it. But I went into the bathroom and I hid out until I heard my brothers and sisters out running around. Then I could go down and change my clothes and stuff like that. But it scared the fuck out of me. So I'm just getting to like the brutality of what would come.
So all right.
I'm getting to the
yeah. No, I hear you,
why.
Dave. That's not where I thought this was going, though. So this guy was also a pedophile, obviously, as well.
Yeah, totally, man. So,
because like you, by the way, Dave, like you tell stories in such an amazing way, and you're also like such a good sport about hard shit that happened to you that I'm finding myself a few times today where you'll be telling something and then it takes like this kind of like fucking brutal left turn and I don't see it coming. So my apologies. But
no, that's all right, man. I apologize. And I apologize to the audience.
No. You're doing great. It's just like a lot to take in.
So this is setting the stage for LA.
Yeah.
And so anyways, there's already this type of shit going on in my life because I got someone that said like I didn't brain that. So we go to LA. Let's just get to the LA chapter. So they're clearly divorced. They're having their all night.
Your original dad.
Yeah.
Well, the dad that raised you.
Right.
And now
she's with this other dude. They get married. It's some bullshit.
Was he from LA and he wanted to go back?
He was from Iowa. The stepdad was from Iowa.
And real quick, what was his background again? Like
his background, he was in the Navy too. Well, you know what? He was a vet too. But his background, and you know what? I want to make this clear too. Because I don't even judge that dude. And I'm going to tell you why I don't judge that guy. Because I grew up beating that. The last time I saw that guy, I thought I left him for dead. Because he was drunk over at my mom's house, trying to hook back up with her. And my mom asked me to get him out of the house or whatever, get him off the property. So I obliged because I'm bigger. I'm way bigger than I am right now because I was working out like 8 hours a day. And so anyways, I slammed his head. He was an alcoholic and he was riding a 10-speed and I took him off the top of his 10-speed and piloted his head right into the curb. And he left him there.
How old were you?
28 or 29.
Okay, so this is years later.
Yeah. And yeah, man, because you know, he was coming over to fight me and stuff like that. And I was not at all gonna deny him the opportunity to do that. I'm like, all right, let's go. So this is kind of like mine and his relationship, and he was really physically abusive to my sister too.
What would he do to her?
We would sit there and watch his black and white TV, and he would take this baton and like sit there and slam it on the bed. My sister's sitting there Indian leg style on the ground. And he smacked her across it and put a bruise across her thigh and her calf. And he hit her with it so hard. But mostly I was the primary recipient of all of his bullshit. So
what Dave, real fast, what do you think, what made him like that?
That's what I'm getting at is I don't know what happened to him. And his dad was a rancher, very hard, strict person too, who seemed like pretty cool. But I don't know what happened to my stepdad when he was a kid or when he was younger that made him come out that way. So I'm just like, is it cool? Definitely not. Without a doubt, hard, fast, no, especially on the sexual bullshit, sucking my nipple, waking up to that. The physical abuse, I have no doubt that he was just beat to shit when he was a kid. So do I think it's okay to like sock your 5-year-old in the eye for getting into the National Guard gear? No, that's a little far. It's excessive. But also at the same time, I would not personally myself spare the rod because I do believe in corporal punishment to a certain extent. I don't believe in everybody being told how to parent their children. Definitely not. It doesn't work. But we go to LA. And anyways, there's things about LA that are just super cool, like driving down Sherman Way Boulevard and seeing some Chicano with a Fu biker with a Fu Manchu.
You just got rid of it.
I just got rid of mine.
I was like almost disappointed when you walked through the door.
Yeah, no, I got rid of it. It's some school stuff. I'm going to grow it back. Don't worry. But anyways, there was this Chicano on his chopper, and I'll never forget it. And he's got these black sunglasses, long black hair. One of the coolest fucking things I ever saw in my entire life. I'm setting up the LA chapter. He's got this Fu Manchu mustache. He's riding his chopper. And he's got a great big FU tattoo on his forearm. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching that shit. And this really sets up like my getting into liberty and freedom going forward, because I wasn't old enough to be racist yet. And I did become openly racist, but it wasn't because I didn't like blacks or Latinos. That was very much a thing having to do with the black and Latino gangs in LA, straight up. And I'm not even mad at the gangs in LA. They got their gangs, we got ours, that's it. So, but seeing this Chicano biker guy, man, on his chopper in Sherman Way, it's just lined with these great big Mexican date palms. They're huge. And I'll never forget that. And that's just so much. It's just such a great thing. It's one of the pivotal key, Johnny Mitchell said it, seminal moments in my life where I thought, man, that resonates with me. That's where I want to be when I grow up. In fact, later on, I would go hit up some outlaw motorcycle clubs, asking about membership in person, right at their clubhouse. And as it happens, it's not the right choice for me because nothing's coming between my wife and I at all, ever.
I just had George Christie in here who's talking about that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But yeah, I did go directly and knock right on their clubhouse after Mexico. Thinking
we'll get there.
We'll get there. So anyways, I see that, but also, and I go to school, and my reception at school is being shoved off my skateboard by 6 of these Crip gang members at Northridge Junior High. They shoved me off my board. They beat me up because I'm trying to get my board back. I lose. I come to school the next day with a baseball bat, and I brand that kid right in class, man. Yeah, dude. Yeah. Fuck that guy, man.
Louisville?
Huh? No. It was an aluminum bat, man. Fucking Louisville. Those are wood, dude.
I know. I have one.
Yeah. Yeah.
You went into class with an
I hit
aluminum
him.
bat.
And he's lucky I wasn't bigger. He's lucky it was junior high, because if I had been big enough to fill out, and probably would have killed him, dude. But yeah, I hit that motherfucker overtaking my skateboard. And
What'd the teachers
I
say?
ran out of class, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got in trouble with the fucking police. I went to court over it and shit. But you know what? It's like, it just kind of set the stage for everything the way that things would go. You know, I wound up going to San Fernando Valley Juvenile Hall. Actually, not even over that. I got off because of that.
You got off.
Yeah.
Saul Goodman lawyer?
Huh?
Saul Goodman.
No. My grandmother, that was the June Cleaver lady, was friends with a guy by the name of Joseph W. Conan, who was Los Angeles County Probation, and he put in a good word, which is how that happened. And he was also a teacher of mine later on. But that was
So you got off on that one,
right?
Did you feel when those kids did that? Because Iowa to LA is like going from fucking Earth to Mars.
Yeah, it was a total culture shock, man. Because also, I wanted to say that too. In Iowa, we never saw someone that wasn't white, except for my little brother's friend Terry, who was Filipino. He was the only non-white person that I ever saw. And man,
Did you feel a certain type of way because it happened to be black people who did that to you that first time?
No. Actually, I never even thought about that until you said that right now. No, their color had nothing to do with it. It was all about my skateboard, but I also wasn't stupid. And in LA, they have busing that goes on to where people from every neighborhood in the entire city get bused to every other school to make sure that people have educational equal opportunity in terms of education. So they're not just stuck in a shit school, which I do get, but the result of that is you are definitely going to school with gang members and stuff like that. It's going to happen. Plus, where we lived was immediately adjacent to the projects, and I've talked about this before, right on Parthenia and Van Alden, between Van Alden and Wilbur. There are projects right there, and I mean like legit projects like you would see in any type of gang movie. So this is like where we're going to school, and yeah, it's not all white. You are the minority because you live in a heavily Latino and environment with a bunch of black gangs at school too. And so that's kind of like what happened, man.
Did you, like, in Iowa when you were growing up, you keep talking about the farm and your siblings, but obviously you went to school and everything. Did you have a lot of friends there?
Friends, no, because we're on the farm all the time.
Were you homeschooled?
No, we went to school.
You went to school?
We went to Milford School. There was Mrs. Osmondson. They sold that place and developed that too. But we went to 6th grade there. Before that, I went to Carroll Elementary, Ottoman Elementary, Nevada Junior High, and then went to Northridge Junior High when we got to L.A. But no, there was not a lot of people in these schools. And plus, because we lived on a farm, it was very solitary.
Right. So what was it like moving when you go to LA and you start going to this school where there's a fuck ton of people? Like, what is making friends like?
Making friends, little pothead people. There was a pothead by the name of Tony. And also, believe it or not, I forgot about this too. My best friend is a guy, I don't know if he's still alive. And Fernando Marzon, if you're out there somewhere, he was a Hawaiian dude. And he was just super fucking cool. And they were stoners. And he would hit people like this. He would reach back like this and come over the top.
Overhand.
Yeah. And he's just the coolest dude ever. And I think he wound up in prison in Hawaii. But me and that fucking dude, man, we loved each other because we were both like outcasts. And so we really liked hanging out together. But he got shipped off back to Hawaii or whatever. And so I wound up getting into skinheads and stuff like that about 15, 16 years old.
Now, how does that happen?
They didn't have the internet back then. In fact, there was barely even beepers. And so you would go to punk rock.
Like 84, 85?
85, 86. Yeah, about that. And my brother and I are starting to get into dealing drugs, but we're going to these punk rock shows that you have to sneak in because you're not even an adult.
Wait, back up 1 second. How'd you guys get into dealing drugs and how old was your brother?
My brother was 14. I was 15.
Okay.
One of our friends who actually I had dinner with him or breakfast with him with my wife while we were back in LA recently. Not recently now. It's been a few months, but we're still friends to this day. And him and his brother, they were Mexican. So we lived in there's a lot of Mexicans or Latinos in LA. And so they had access to cocaine and stuff like that. And the way that we got into drugs was my mom had a biker boyfriend whose name was Bill, who was connected to one of the clubs. And he came over one day. And this is exactly when my brother was 14 and I was 15. He takes out this plastic saran wrap that had been burnt with an ounce of speed in it. And a lot of people in my family are glazers, so we had a bunch of mirrors laying around. Pours it out, and we tried it. He split out some lines, and we tried that shit. And previously, we tried marijuana and stuff like that because my mom was a hippie. But he tried that stuff, and it just sets your head on fire. And so that gets us into the drug thing. And we had a cousin come out from Detroit, Mike, who was raped in prison. Hung himself when he went back to Detroit because he was a very, very small guy, but he thought he was all that, wanted to be a gangster and all this shit. Talks me into getting some guns. So I go break into this cop's house because I know they got guns in there that live behind us, and didn't even wind up stealing anything. I heard them rustling behind their bedroom door, and I just bailed out of that house before stealing anything. And I'm lucky they didn't shoot me, but that's how I wound up in juvenile hall. And
because you got caught with that.
No, I got caught breaking into his house, and they sent me to juvenile hall. Right. Okay. And they gave me probation and adjudicated or whatever, but I didn't wind up going to YA again because my grandma's friendship with this Joe Conan guy.
All right, but you go to juvenile hall.
Yeah, I do go to juvenile hall.
I'm trying to keep it all straight because I got you off this asking you about how you got into the drugs, which you just explained. But what you were doing before that was saying this is when you got into like skinhead culture as well. So which came first, skinhead?
Oh, my bad. I got way off on a tangent.
No, you're all right.
So anyway, so we do the drugs with Bill. And anyway, so we start doing cocaine with my friend who I'm not going to name. And we start getting cocaine from them, and we start selling it at school, man. And we're not doing a lot. We're only buying like an ounce or two initially, and we're selling it mostly in quarter grams or half ounces and whatever. anything between that. It's not like we're moving bricks and stuff like that. So prolific drug dealer, like someone else has said, not true. But also at the same time, we're selling ounces, and it's at a young age, and it's cocaine. So it's not like a couple bucks either. We're starting to grow. And we start getting into going to shows, making money, not giving a damn about the rules. My mom is going to kick me out by the time I'm 16 because of the level of violence I'm starting. It progressed very quickly. Getting into violence. My mom kicked me out 16. I had to quit school that year because of all the violence. And I had bought a 74 Firebird worth $500 worth of crack cocaine. Ironically, from another guy that was run over by a bus in Hawaii. Jeff. Hawaii. Go figure. Don't go there. Yeah, man. So she kicks me out, and I'm living in this Firebird. But yeah, we were selling drugs. I was working a normal job because we had a great work ethic from the farm in Iowa. Had a place called Challenge Graphics that at that time was on Reseda Boulevard. And then selling drugs on top of it. And I wound up getting an apartment right there on Reseda Boulevard. But before that, I was living in my 74 Firebird eating mustard sandwiches at 16 years of age. At 4:00 in the morning because it's super cold. So, I mean, that's my fucking childhood, man. And
where does the skinhead part come in?
Right there. So I've got all this time on my hands, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. My parents are completely not around. And I'm sitting there doing this. I did go back to my mom's house briefly because I was busted trying to break through a skateboard shop with a pickaxe, stealing skateboards. And I wanted to go skateboard, dude. And I'd just gotten out of juvenile hall. And I forget. Oh, yeah. I went to juvenile.
So juvenile hall is before the skinhead.
Yeah, it's before the skinhead.
What's it like going to juvenile hall at 15, 16? Suddenly you're like, freedom's taken away from you.
There was a guy by the name of Ant Dog from Pacoima, Peru. And I got into, no, it's actually, you know what? We got into that fight over Supreme White Power, SWP.
I'm unfamiliar.
There was a tattoo. One guy had an SWP tattoo on it, and I just thought it was cool. And I'm like, fucking right on. And I'd already had to run in with the Crips and shit like that at school. So I'm just like, you know what? So I was writing it down on one of my peachy folders or whatever because you're going to school in juvenile hall. And this guy by the name of Ant Dog at Pacoima, Peru, man, I was fucking terrified, man. And I had to get in a fight with this fucking dude because he wasn't letting it go. It's like, you Supreme White Power and shit. I got fucked up, dude. And it was in Module JK at San Fernando Valley Juvenile Hall.
Did you know what it meant?
Yeah.
Because you said you thought it looked cool.
Yeah.
But you knew what it meant.
Yeah, I knew what it meant. Yeah, I meant because you're kids, you're talking about that shit. Right. So that was my first exposure with it, really. And you get out and you start going to these punk rock shows, these skinhead stuff, and the internet's not a thing at this point in time, Julian. Mm-hmm. So like the main way things get around are like flyers that you'll see at shows. And there was some bullshit, National Association for White Socialist Party or some shit. And I'm totally not socialist, but I wrote into it and they gave me this white Aryan resistance literature that they sent to my mom's house. And so I get this literature and like I'd grown up with guns, totally loved all that shit. It sounded militant. So I'm just like, this is like kind of like how I start getting off going down that road, man. And like I said, my mom kicked me out at 16 years old.
After juvie.
After juvie. And something had happened to where I got busted again and wound up going to a place called Rancho San Antonio, which was like a placement. It was like a boys' home because I wasn't 18 yet. Mm-hmm. And they stuck us out in Joshua Tree National Park. I learned how to rappel off a 250-foot cliff. Had to run 6 miles through the desert in Converse canvas high tops with no socks and put all these blisters in my leg. But I came in first. I really excelled at that type of shit because it was like a camp that we went to. And I got out and I tried to join the Marine Corps too at like 16 years old too, but they didn't want me to because of drugs. So I was kind of going down that thing. And then 18, 19, I was really starting to like get into drinking and using. Wound up in 1991, we were robbing drug dealers. And we thought this guy was a cop because we were selling drugs. And so I'd run across the street and hit this dude in the head to make sure he wasn't a cop. And because we were selling drugs and we didn't want to get busted for that. And it was 2 o'clock in the morning. The guy was walking down the street. Oh, man. And anyways, wound up not being a cop because no reinforcements or backup came. So we're like, fucking, there was this chick I was trying to hook up with. And so the dude I was with talks to the dude and winds up that he's a drug dealer. So we want to go over and rob him. And this had happened in the interim while I was talking to this chick trying to hook up with her. The dude I was with had talked to the other guy. So we wind up going over to this dude's house, and long story short, the guy got his throat slit all the way ear to ear. And the guy that did this has a swastika blasted on his face. So, and you know, people like, they don't really know what it's like growing up where I grew up. The San Fernando Valley, although it's part of LA, it's a part of LA that was added later on, but it is a place that's got a heavy gang presence. And if you're white and you're into gangs, it's got a lot of people that are involved in NLR, which is like Nazi lowriders and prison gangs and shit. And the federal government just can't crack down on them just a few years ago with Hate 1-8 operation against Caucasian people. So that's like, and if the federal government's getting involved doing that type of shit there's a lot of people doing that. You can look, can you pull that up? I just want Julian to see it so he knows what I'm talking about. Hate, H-A-T-E, and then 1-8 operation, Department of Justice. And so you can just kind of get a glimpse. And I don't know everyone up here, but I know some of them. Operation Hate 1-8, and then pull up the images. And so, yeah, so you can go over, any one of those, and you can see all the people that are involved in this San Fernando Valley white supremacist gang gutted by FBI. So this is like the type of shit that's going on where I live. It's, so going and robbing drug dealers or whatever and having somebody get their throat slits, not.
You get desensitized to it.
It's just the type of shit. Yeah, when I was 16, we went with some guy that was an adult, and we were just kids, and he went in and robbed a liquor store with a fucking sawed-off shotgun. This is the type of shit that you're exposed to. And I didn't do it. We were just kids. I didn't even know what was going on. It's just like you see it happen. You're like, whoa, what the fuck? Flux was shot in the fucking head in Pacoima because he was trying to steal crack from some gang member Mexicans and shit. Just all kinds of shit. Just lots of craziness. And what's my evidence of that? The fact that the FBI, years later after I'd been sober for a long time, I had nothing to do with this. But this is the type of stuff that goes on where I'm from.
Right.
So anyways,
by the way, when you start selling the drugs and everything, you kind of alluded to this because you first got into it, like when you tried it.
Yeah.
Did you instantly start to really abuse like drugs and alcohol?
No, definitely not. No. In fact, if anything, we didn't really like it. My brother and I got the garage was our room. So it really kind of enabled us. My mom enabled us to sell drugs very easily without her even knowing, even though her bedroom was right next to the garage. So anytime someone would want to come over at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, we just open the garage a little bit, slip them their shit underneath of it, and they're gone. And the meaning of that is there was a guy that was using drugs intravenously, and he snuck into my mom's bathroom to use drugs. And I'd bought a Dodge Monaco also from a cop auction for $75. Yeah, my first car was a police car, dude. Yeah, it was. With swastikas painted all over it too on top of it. Yeah, shit brown with light blue swastikas.
So this is right before she kicks you out of the house.
Yeah, right before. And we saw him shooting drugs too, but this guy had snuck into my mom's bathroom to shoot his drugs. And we found out that he did that. Me and my brother beat the fuck out of that guy. So we weren't like, we weren't on board with like over the top drug use. And to be completely honest, full disclosure, I've never used intravenous drugs of any type, and I don't smoke crack, not my thing. But yeah, my drinking and using progressed a lot slower because of that too. I got sober when I was 25, but it took a while. So we weren't into that, but we were definitely into selling drugs and making money and violence. You know, it was just.
But also getting sucked into like, you know, neo-Nazi kind of culture.
Totally, man.
Did you start to join like actual organizations?
No, I was talking about that because it's not the way it is. In fact, the whole reason why that thing that you just saw up there, it's not a gang per se.
Yeah, I'm not saying a gang, but like, you
getting
mentioned,
sucked into the culture,
right.
yeah. But
like,
why?
Was there any kind of like meetups with
No,
guys
you hook
who
up
believe
with
that?
your friends and hang out at houses and that's one of the primary differences between Latino and black gangs and white gangs per se is Latino and black gangs are largely based on their territory and where they're from. Grape Street, Watts, all these different places. They've got tons of gangs. Rolling 20s, Hoover, just all these different neighborhoods in LA that have their gangs. But with white people, that's not how it is because most white people don't get in gangs, and most white people that do get into that type of stuff are the anomaly or the outlier. So they won't be living all in the same neighborhood. They'll be in the same valley. So in order to meet up, you're only meeting up at school. You're only meeting up at your friend's house. You're only meeting up at concerts and shows and stuff like that. So it's not something that's like omnipresent to where every day when you go home from school or whatever, everyone's on the same block. It's not like that, especially when you're a kid. So there is a clear separation between black and Latino gangs, but also at the same time, you are going to run into these people with great frequency and you are selling drugs and this type of shit. So it's structured differently. And because it's structured differently, that's why the FBI has to go after everyone there with a RICO indictment because they're all involved in the same type of illicit criminal shit. According to the FBI's investigation, I'm not going to say anything one way or another about it, but when you're getting involved in the white supremacist stuff, yes, it's there. Yes, you're reading literature. Yes, you're going to shows, but it's not something that you see every day because you go about your life, going to school, going to work or whatever, but you're not with your friends 24/7 or living with them in the same neighborhood the way other people might be.
But you still are developing a hatred of other people like who don't look like you.
No, yes, but you have to understand why. It's those same people don't like you either because you're white and they're fucking you up, taking your skateboard specifically because go get that white boy in his skate. Literally comes right out of their mouth. Is there much the dude talked about? No, but when they're saying, "What's up, white boy," and beating your ass and everybody's a certain color, I'm not, and I've talked about it, I get sober years later because I met a guy by the name of Andre who was a member of the Nation of Islam, and he fucked me up, man. We got in fights. We're in this rehab together. And he comes in. He's this big, buff, black dude, man. And what year was that? I go through the whole attempted murder thing.
Maybe like, wait, the whole attempted murder thing.
Yeah. So the guy...
All right, let's back up.
All right. Oh, man, he's laughing, dude. It's not funny, man. I'm not. No, I wish I could take that part
Just
of my life back.
Yeah, the delivery is funny.
It's no, and I don't want to be dismissive of that at all.
Right.
It's one of the very few moments in my life where I truly do regret everything that happened. And I didn't even do it, but I was there. I was there, and the guy I was with, we couldn't get into this guy's house. It was the same night that we thought that guy was a cop.
How old are you?
21.
Okay.
We go to this guy's house, and the guy I was with is trying to get in, and the guy got beat up, but then the guy I was with pulls out a knife and slits the guy's throat, and it's right underneath the street light. I see it just like I'm looking at that. I'm from about, he's where your cup of coffee is. I'm looking right at it, and there's these 3 big spurts of blood that go out. It's happening directly underneath a street light. And then after that happens, we're out looking for some gang members to go run into because it's got everything to do with like white supremacist gangs and shit like that. And I get back to the house. We get arrested because the police are there waiting for us because somehow the guy survived and called the police. And so when we get back to the house,
Throat slit guy survived.
he fucking survives. And he's in intensive care for like a month, which ironically is how I wound up not going to prison. It took him so long to get out of intensive care that we didn't waive our right to a speedy trial. And so on the very last day that they have to arraign us or try us or whatever per law, the guy barely gets out of intensive care. He's sitting up on the stand. and he's incriminating himself, talking about how he sells drugs. He doesn't even have a lawyer, and it's at like 4:30 in the afternoon. So they're out of time. And the judge is like, I want to see, and they're trying to give us 15 years to life plus 5 years on top of it because of the fight previous, and then plus when the guy got his throat slit. And any one of my haters that thinks I'm a rat or whatever, Van Nuys, LA Superior Court, Van Nuys Division, May 1st, 1991. Go fucking look it up. I'm tired of arguing with you motherfuckers, man. That's what happens. Nobody told. The guy was on the stand testifying and was incriminating himself for selling drugs. The judge said he wanted to see counsel in his chambers. They come back. They knock the 15 years life off, give us a deal for 5-year joint suspension and a county year, which is how I wind up in LA County. And that's kind of led to me doing a county year. But the crazy thing is I'm not even a convicted felon, if you can believe that. So I
honestly can't believe that.
Yeah,
Please
no,
continue.
because in California, the prosecutor has to charge things as either misdemeanors or felonies. And in our case, he chose to charge them as misdemeanors. But because I never went to state prison, and because the crime that I was convicted of, which was assault with a deadly weapon to commit great bodily harm,
not a felony,
was a felony. But it's what's called a California wobbler, and the prosecutor could have charged it as a misdemeanor because it's still assault. Because it's assault with a deadly weapon to commit great bodily harm. And when I got enough money later on, I got that reduced to misdemeanor and then expunged completely. And per federal guidelines, I can go down and fill out, I think it's a 4021 file or form. And it says right on there on the back of the form that if your case has been expunged, that you can federally own firearms and all this type of stuff. So yeah, the way that my life has gone has really been kind of crazy. But you go through the year in county jail, and I spent more than half the time in the hole with that too.
County jail is no joke, man.
In LA. Yeah, it's really violent. And plus, when you're going through that, you're locked up with everybody else in there is in there for murder or some serious shit because you get a security level. And all the people that want to talk about, oh, there's like not 500 people in the 9,500 modules. There's like little details that come out over the course of the last year of me telling my story. All of it's absolutely true. You go into the 9,000 modules, you get classified, then you go down to the 3,000 white power module. And from there, you're doing
3,000 white power module?
Yeah, they've got different gang modules in old LA County. And depending on whether you're blood, crip, whatever, you go there. So all the white supremacist people that are facing serious time are going into the 3,000 module, Baker, whatever. They got Abel, Baker. They got these different rows, and you go into one of them. I don't remember what it was. I remember I had 2 Camel non-filter cigarettes and matches that you have to split in half and then not rub it off on the concrete floor, but you go real fast to generate a bunch of friction to light it. Just little details because a lot of people think you're making shit up. I get out of there and my grandmother makes me go to Utah to get away from gangs and stuff like that. She gives me $100 and
$100.
Yeah.
To Utah.
Yeah, because I had a job there waiting on me. I'd always been a really hard worker. And I went to work at Pipkin Masonry in Vineyard, which is just outside of Provo, Utah.
What are you, 22, 23 now?
Yeah. And I go out there and I start becoming a Mormon, dude. Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, for real. In fact, I had to tell them I wanted to be excommunicated, man. For real.
Oh, my God.
Well, because
I've used this line in here before referring to some people that like, you're the Forrest Gump of X or the Forrest Gump of but. You're actually like, you really are a Forrest Gump. Like shit happens to you in an instant, dude, and it's something entirely different.
Mormon chicks are hot, dude.
I have been told this.
Do you know why? They don't drink. They don't use any drugs. They don't smoke. They're not fucking. And they're physically fit. It was great, man, until it wasn't. But. You know,
all right. Let's take this sidebar.
I don't want to get into the
hold on. In county prison or county jail, you're there for a year, you said?
Yeah, just under a year.
And you're staying with the white supremacists?
Yeah, totally, man. Fuck.
And you're still feeling that whole lifestyle?
Well, no, it's not feeling it. You're part of it. You're part of a gang. You're in it. This is like that rap song. This is a gang, and I'm in it.
And what did you have to do as a part of this gang?
You're constantly fighting. You're constantly fighting. Now, there's someone else that said that Muslim 5%ers, which is actually an East Coast thing, but they do have Muslim 5%er black gangs. I was doing some pull-ups, and I got these great big old SS lightning bolts in the back of my arms, man.
Are they still there?
I'm getting them lasered off, but yeah, they're there, but they're not as dark as they used to be. And I'm doing these pull-ups underneath the stairs, man, and this guy wants to get into it, and they tell me, don't go to sleep tonight, white boy. And I did go get a pencil from a Latino, by the way, who was a trustee. And I told the first one of them, yeah, dude. I told the first one of you N-words that comes down the stairs because they were up on the upper tier. Or it was not a tier, it's a dorm room, but they're upstairs. And then all the whites and Latinos are downstairs. And it's about a 50-50 mix with 3 white guys in the entire dorm. And so it's like, it's not like me being Captain Caveman, like I'm all badass and shit. Believe me, I was scared. But the only response to something like that, and he told me, are you a member of the KKK? And I told him no, but I support what they believe in because you cannot back down from a challenge. If you do, that's it. And so anyways, they went upstairs. There was 2 of them. I was gonna fight the guy immediately. And they went upstairs. They started talking amongst themselves. Don't go to sleep tonight, white boy. That's what they're saying. And I'm scared. So I go get a pencil from this trustee and I go back over to the stairs and I tell him, I was letting them know that I'm armed. The first one of you effing N-words that comes down the stairs, I'm going to fucking stab you to death. From the perspective that I'm already going to be doing 15 years to life fucking anyways, because I get a lot of haters, about that. I'm going to stick to the point. But all the haters, I look up your profiles a lot of times and your bean poles, people that aren't scary or whatever.
Bean poles.
Yeah, they are. If you ever look them up, it's always someone that's never about that shit. Just like the people that told me I wasn't in Mexico hunting fucking drug cartels. The ones that tell me I'm going to have my face cut off. Fucking whatever.
You got a hell of a way of delivering.
So, hey, man, it's fucking what it is. I'm not trying to be a jerk, man.
No, you're good.
I would like to take the guys to dinner and be cool, but they don't want to be cool when they're making their stupid comments. So, I guess.
Don't offer that up. It's okay.
And so, and the next morning we go out to smoke break yard, and there's me and a guy by the name of Shane there, plus one dude that didn't want to get in anything. And Shane's already been in there several times. So he's already a veteran. He's going back to prison. And he's from where I'm at in the valley. So he takes this dude that's trying to make peace between our 2 groups and slams him against the wall. And me and this one black guy, they're telling me to roll it up, which means get your bedroll, go knock on the door and tell the LA County Sheriff's deputies that you don't want to be in that dorm room anymore. It's the equivalent of piecing up. I'm like, fuck off. I'm definitely not doing it. And the guy had big thumbnails. And he tries to stab me in the neck with one of them. So we start fighting immediately. And this is something else the trolls have lit me up for. There's no way that they just kept it one-on-one. They did keep it one-on-one. Shane's like kind of an imposing dude, big old swastika on his biceps and shit. And is in there also for some serious shit. So it's like, it's just, okay, they're handling their business. We get in a fight and we're rolling down around by the toilet because the fight's gone to the ground. We're fighting. They have all this shit on the camera and the sheriff's deputies come out. They split us apart. And so I spent like half my time in the hole, but I wind up getting my GED there.
In the hole?
No, not in the hole.
Oh.
I wound up getting my GED while I was locked up.
Okay.
And to be honest, I got fucked up too. One day, I got lit up by a bunch of Latinos, and I know which gang one of them was from because he had that shit blasted across this thing. And I was in the hole and I was crying. For all the people that think I'm like making any of this up, I was crying because I was a little bitch. Yeah, no, I was. And I was going to the hole again and I was crying, not because I was hurt or anything like that. That doesn't faze me. In fact, we started this whole fucking thing getting shot in the head with a 40 mil. It's not because I was hurt. I was crying because I was calling my mom to tell her not to come up and visit me at Wayside North facility because they call it Supermax. That's where all the fucked up people are going. That are facing time, that and the Max facility. They got 2 of them. Minimum, medium north, medium south, Wayside North and Wayside Max. And I was in the North facility that's called Supermax. But I got my GED there and I get out and My grandmother doesn't want me having anything to do with gangs or anything like that. So she sends me to Utah, like 22, 23. And
why'd she pick Utah?
because I had a job working for a Pipkin Masonry. I was always in really good shape. Like I was up, like I was telling you last night, I was just doing a couple miles last night in the snow, and it's fucking freezing. This morning I'm up working out.
It's fucking walking down tunnel.
Yeah, no, man. It's just, can't. No, not that, man. I don't want to sit here and like get too off topic.
What'd you say it was at like 2:30 in the morning too?
Details. 1:55 a.m.
1:55. Oh, we got video. Is this in the hotel gym?
Yeah.
Oh, let's go. All right.
Yeah,
I got the gym there for you.
And I'm talking.
Are you just talking to the camera?
I'm talking to my wife on the phone. It's recorded on this one.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, because you got the bat phone, so you can record a phone call.
My wife melted that phone, so I got to use two because people are like, "What's up with your phones? Are you fucking doing something criminal?"
She melted the phone.
I've got a 10,000 candle watt lamp, and she left it on top of there and turned it on. And
it looks like it's working okay.
Yeah, because it's pointing towards me. But if you try to film something going the other way with it, it's fucking jacked.
Oh, I gotcha.
So anyways, yeah. So 1:55 a.m. I'm up fucking working.
Love that.
So anyways, principle, man, commitment and not being lazy. And then she yelled at me and I went back to sleep until about 4:00 because I had this interview today with you. And she's like, "You need to be refreshed." My wife's Mexican. So that's how they roll. But
you really did come around.
No, yeah, hey.
It's always the Latinas. They get people to come around.
Dude, my wife is fucking awesome, man. So, oh man, I would
shout out Mrs. Frank.
You know what? I've been through quite a few women, and they're all good women. If there's anything that's bad, I'm the bad element of that equation because I'm the common denominator. It's true. If one person says you're an asshole, you can probably blow it off. Two people maybe pay attention, but if you got three or more telling you that, hey, you're a jerk off, you're probably the guy that needs to have a look in the mirror, and that was definitely my case. And
you have significant self-awareness, Dave. I will say that. Hey, significant self-awareness from a lot of things in life.
Hey, I was a piece of shit for a long time, dude. Mm. Yeah, man. Johnny Mitchell asked me what my
Is this construction ever gonna end, Dave? I'm sorry, Dave. Like, is it ever gonna end? It's been fucking what could they possibly be hammering over there? I apologize to people for the 50th time.
It's all right, man. It's okay.
Keep going. Johnny Mitchell, I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's telling me what my aspirations were when I was younger. You know what? My aspirations really when I was young is I wanted to become a hitman for an outlaw motorcycle club. I wanted to do as many drugs as I could and fuck strippers until I died. That was what I wanted when I was younger. And you know what? I am ashamed to say that because my wife is every bit the best person I've ever met in my entire... Oh, man, I'm going to cry. Fuck, I don't want to cry, man.
It's all right.
No, I'm not going to. But you don't wind up fighting drug cartels in Mexico unless you're completely ready to die, man. You just don't do it. It's impossible. And I wind up meeting this woman that just changed my entire life. And she asked me, too, one time. She's like, do you love your general or me more? Because I love fucking doing what I was doing in Mexico. And we'll get there.
Yeah, we're coming.
But
that's going to be the second episode. I can already tell.
Nah, I mean, yeah, we can do that.
I'm saying, like, I'm looking at the time over here. We're doing 2 today, so please keep going.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, I get out and I go to Mormonville. There's these hot Mormon chicks running around, and I'm thinking about, I'm living in Utah, but I'm not ready to become sober yet or anything. And long story short, and I'll cut it off.
No. Take your time.
I hook up with this chick, and one of my roommates at Brigham Young University, even though I wasn't going there, my roommate was, and he wound up becoming the attorney general for the state of Utah. Yeah. So I've been exposed to a lot of shit, man. And
how did you become? I guess he was living off campus, and you just became. Yeah.
So okay,
he's like, all right, I'm gonna break up with the convicted, assault with a deadly weapon guy.
Yeah, dude. It's fucking the craziest thing, man. Craziest stories, What is it they say about the truth is stranger than fiction? So I was living at Branberry Park Apartments, which is off campus. housing for Mormons, and they have these rules. I forget what they call it at the time, but you're not allowed to like be all up in members of the opposite sex's dorm or whatever.
Soaking and shit. Yeah.
You're not allowed to do it. And my roommate was very honorable. His name was Wayne. Super honorable guy, and was a really positive influence on me in a lot of ways. But he and I wound up dating sisters, of all things. Yeah.
It's the most Mormon thing I've ever heard.
Oh, man, I'm going to leave them alone because you know what the Mormons, I'll tell you what, the Mormons are basically a farm camp for CIA operatives.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because they're so clean. They're squeaky clean. So when you're doing a background check on a Mormon guy, forget it. As long as he's not married to an in-law or something like that, you're good. And to be full disclosure, I'm big on church history too. Even though I'm no longer a practicing Mormon, I do respect that religion a lot.
So, yeah, you were saying you got... I guess like he recruited you into being a Mormon at this time?
James Pipkin did, the guy that he was my old boss. So that's how I wound up out there. Is he was a brick mason, and I was really physically fit and a really good hod tender. So I wound up going to Utah, and I wound up living with him and was working with him. And from his house, I jumped into Branberry Park Apartments, living with all these Mormons. Mormons are hot. Yes, please baptize me. Not ready to leave my whole gang past behind. Please don't baptize me because I'm not ready to take the name of Jesus upon me, which I do take seriously. And when I'd gotten married, my first wife was Mormon. And
oh, you got married?
Yeah, we got married. She got pregnant. I've got 2 daughters, and I don't really talk about that because I don't know. I'm estranged from both of my daughters, but for different reasons. The first daughter I'm estranged from, I really wasn't a very good dad, man. I was definitely not. I was never around. I bailed on her basically because I'm a piece of shit and hooked up. And this was with my early sobriety. Hooked up with my ex-girlfriend that I was with for like 6 years or whatever, Nicole. And we had a great relationship, but being kids, I didn't bail on her. I would do shit like go up. Their dog Trixie would get out of the yard at like 12 o'clock at night, and I would have to drive an hour north to Palmdale from LA to go fix her fucking fence in the middle of the night. Excuse the cuss words, but I mean, fix my ex-wife's brakes, do that type of stuff. But I don't know what happened with that relationship. It fell off. When I was hunting drug cartels in Mexico, they asked me to come back to San Diego, and my daughter was in like an anorexic thing, and I'm like living in Mexico.
This is the first daughter.
This is the first daughter. And they asked me to come down to San Diego. They'd asked me, the last time I saw them, they asked me for like $1,000 worth of cash. I gave them the $1,000 worth of cash. That was up in Palmdale. They came over and got it. I go to Mexico, don't see them for years, come back. And they want me to go to this anorexic treatment for my first daughter. And so I go, and I'm down in Mexico hunting drug cartels.
How old is she at this point?
Fucking like 18 or 19 or some shit.
Had you been in her life at all?
Fuck no, man. I'm in Mexico hunting drug cartels. Fuck
right.
No, I'm not. I don't have anything to do with her life.
But so they ask you to come visit her.
In her therapy. Yeah, man. So I go down there. It's in San Diego. I spend the night at my ex-wife's house. And my ex-wife, because I didn't want to drive all the way back up to the valley. It's like a 4-hour drive. Yeah. And this meeting with her doctor was in the afternoon. So I spent the night on the living room floor, get in my car, come back up. And that was the last time I ever spoke to. No, it was not the last time. We've spoken since on the phone, and I've spoken with my daughter. My daughter talks to me. She wanted a bathing suit off of Etsy, and she wanted me to pay for the chairs at her wedding, which I did. So I don't really know what the fuck is going on. As random and strange as that sounds, Julian, that's really the truth of it.
Yeah.
In fact, I've got the fucking email somewhere. I can prove every bit of it.
No, can we back up for a second?
Yeah, totally, man.
Because it's, 18, 19 years is a long time from the beginning. So you get married to this Mormon girl.
In the same year as the Northridge earthquake. Yeah, 93, 94.
Okay. So you get married to her. You get married to her when you have converted to Mormonism. Right.
And I'm trying to be a good Mormon at this point.
And you're still a white supremacist?
No. I basically got out of that shit.
That's when the Muslim Brotherhood guy helped you and you're getting sober at the same time. So let's talk about that.
Yeah,
what happens
totally
there?
Correct. Okay, so My ex, the first wife, was half Guatemalan. So my daughter, yeah. In fact, they were political refugees from Guatemala because her uncle was a politician there. They were going to kill him. So there's that type of shit going on. And she was cool, man. And, I met her ice skating. I knew how to ice skate from Iowa. And she wasn't very good at ice skating. So I was helping her around. That's how we met on Mormon singles night. I'm trying to be a good guy. I'm going to school for domestic automotive technology, which is all the engineering and shit behind all of it. Understanding electrical systems, hydraulic engineering, all this shit. Trying to do the right thing, but I'm still not sober. And this is what led to the downfall of that marriage. In fact,
Mormons don't like people drinking, obviously.
Oh, not just drinking. I'm full board, not sober fucking at all. Drugs, the whole
ripping
thing.
Coke and all that. Yeah.
I'm gone out of the house for 2 weeks at a time. She's got no idea where I'm at, man. I mean, fucking gone. And the only reason we got married is because she was pregnant, and I did not believe in leaving someone alone that was going to have a marriage. So I was trying to do the right thing, but I wasn't sober and I wasn't capable of doing the right thing. And even after that, going out to her house, even after we were divorced, fixing her car, fixing the fence, giving her money when she would try. I would try to be the right guy, but...
Dave, real fast, I just want to make sure I have the timeline right here.
Yeah.
You moved to Utah. You move in with future attorney general, who's Brigham Young student, who's a Mormon. You get converted by boss at your job to becoming a Mormon. Somewhere along the way here, you're still doing hookers and blow.
PO finds out that I'm not in LA. I was on summary probation. I went to
so that wasn't even allowed. All right, so that's a problem. Let's just tell that for a minute. You meet the half Guatemalan Mormon lady at ice skating.
When I came back to LA.
You met her in LA and she's Mormon?
Yeah. So anyways, we're dating the sister, the attorney. Here, let me straighten this out.
Yeah, please.
So me and the attorney general dude are dating these sisters.
Uh-huh.
Right? And me and the sisters having a falling out because I'm not sober. I'm going to this guy Kurt cave and shit, getting all lit up. There was some satanic chick. I was not even faithful. There's some satanic chick that cut me open with scissors in a church parking lot trying to drink my blood. True story. Yeah, man. Freaked me the hell out, man. I had to kick that chick out of my car, dude, because so Mormon, and this is well known in Orem and in Provo, the church is so strong that when the people rebel against the church, they really go off the deep end. And there's a lot of Satanism in Utah. You can look it up and verify all of it. So I've got this going on, and me and this chick break up. And this chick's dad is a colonel in the Air Force or whatever. Finds out I'm on probation, calls my probation department. I get a call at work the next day, which at the time was a touch of airglass and trim in Provo, Utah. Randy and Vicky Zajac is their last name. I get a call from her dad telling me that the pain I feel is going to be like ice cream. They're going to hurt me so bad, referring to the police when I get back to LA because he was pissed off. And he sent his buddies out. When I got home that night, she was not home. He had called my PO in LA, and I had to be back in LA that day. And when I got back to LA, and I was in Utah for a while, albeit not sober, staying out of trouble with the law. And the judge, I was going through court. They didn't put me back in jail because I'd been out of trouble. And the PO was trying to get the joint suspension instated. And the chick I was going to hook up with, we met on family homing or church singles night. She came to court with me for whatever reason. And I'd been going to the Mormon church trying to do the right thing, and evidence
Still
of
not sober, right?
Not sober, but going to church and working, definitely not dealing drugs, not out doing all the white supremacist shit.
So you're starting.
I'm starting to turn the corner.
To feel that not be there. Because what it sounds like to me, minus the first, I'm sorry to cut you off. I just want to psychologically understand. Minus the first, hello, welcome to LA moment where it happens to be like Crips guys who beat the shit out of you, and then you beat the shit out of them, and you're like, okay, well, maybe there's racial animosity.
That was 6-7 years.
Right. Minus that, it seems like a lot of the white supremacy stuff was more like you just joining up with a trend that happened to be around you to kind of be a part of something, to say you were a part of something, and it happened to support the lifestyle that you were in as well. And then when you get into prison, it's literally separated out that way. So it seems like you almost had, I don't even know how to use this term because I don't even know if it's a real term, like this kind of passive white supremacy hatred.
Yeah, more or less.
You kind of come out of jail, you go to Utah, and it's like,
well,
why'd I
more or
have
less,
that?
but I've always had the impression that that's the way that I explain it too. I mean, it was definitely openly racist in terms of like, I'm not going to hide it or shy away from it at all. I mean, if you're locked up going through that, definitely you're not shying away from that type of stuff. And Andre, actually, you can look this up. Can we pause the camera real quick? I want to look up an article on LA Times.
Sure, you can keep going.
Oh, okay.
Deef will fucking
so
get
look up Friends Under the Skin.
Okay.
LA Times, Margaret Ramirez. And then the Control F search function. He and I would fight daily. So this is the words of somebody else that's testimony about definitely the type of person I was. Friends Under the Skin, Los Angeles Times.
Yeah, there it is.
Control F. Fight daily. Or just go to fight.
Okay.
Fight between the two over the superior race became a daily event, and then put kill each other or KILL. Delete that and go kill.
Oh yeah.
This is okay. So I remember walking in there and seeing all these white people said Omar. David was sitting there reading a book on Nazis. We looked at each other, we argued, fought, and almost killed each other. So Omar and I, Andre Omar, would get into
This is the Muslim Brotherhood guy.
This is the Nation of Islam guy. So this is LA Times, Margaret Ramirez, not my words, somebody else. So that's definitely like who I was.
Yeah, no, let me make sure I'm very clear on this thing.
Yeah.
I know you were those things, and I'm not explaining that away at all. Obviously, you've said like it was a real piece of shit time of your life. I'm not going to argue with you on that at all. But it's just like, it doesn't seem like you woke up every day and this was the first thing on your mind and the only thing all day.
No,
it was like a passive kind of just gross lifestyle.
Yeah, it was just, well, if you're going to be like a gang member of another color, we're definitely going to get into it. So they had their gangs, I had mine. That was it.
Okay.
And evidence of it's right there in the LA Times. So
back to the timeline though. You're trying to become a Mormon. You meet this girl at Mormon single skating night, but you're still out doing blow and everything.
And I'm not sober yet though.
And you're trying to get sober. So when you go to rehab, you met Omar?
Right. We're in the rehab. And so this is that. And the date on that is 1995. I don't even need to look it up. I already know what the date of it is. It was May 27th or some shit.
There you go.
Yeah. So anyways, so for all my trolls and haters, there you go. I've got this shit in like a steel trap, baby. Andre and I would fight. We fought 3 times in that rehab. And Andre was very muscular. It was they were painful fights, man. I got lumped up. But also I was I'm hard-headed, man.
You don't say.
Yeah, I'm just not going to put up with people's shit, dude. So I'm also a Christian, unfortunately, in this instance. And he comes over one day playing bagpipe music, Amazing Grace, on my little stupid cassette player that my grandmother had given me. And it's a deep sin to deny somebody Jesus. And he comes by and he hears it. And he's like, hey, and I was in my room. And he's like, hey, can I sit there and listen to that? I'm like, yeah, you can sit. I didn't call him the N-word in that instant. I'm like, yeah, you can listen and then you can fucking leave. It's exactly what I told him. And so he does. He listens to it. He leaves. He comes back the next day. He's like, I was thinking about you last night. And I'm like, whoa, because everyone in this place is like from prison or some type of shit like that. And you need to get along. But if you don't get along, there's like pretty dire consequences for both of us, everyone involved. And all the fights that we'd gotten in private, like in the stairwell, wherever, to where people couldn't see us. But I'm like, is that some type of homosexual? I'm trying to see what he's saying. He's like, if I'd been born white, I would have been just like you. And Nation of Islam people are like straight up racist, like hardcore, like hate whitey, which is why I'm also not like super apologetic about any of the avenues I've gone down in my past. I'm not glorifying it or glamorizing it. Definitely not. If you're watching me and you're young and you're white, please avoid it at all costs. Go to school. Live a morally correct life. I want to make that super clear, man. Because the only reason I'm sitting here today is just dumb luck or God's blessings. that being said, that was not my mindset at the time. And he tells me, if I'd been born white, I would have been just like you. And it was the best thing that he could have told me, because I've been gifted scholastically, athletically. I speak all these different languages. Just the trajectory of my life is proof that I've been able to be successful everywhere I've wanted to be successful if I could just settle down and apply myself. And the best I could do with all of that is wind up in there with people that have made nothing but mistakes in their life. And when he told me that, I realized it wasn't Latino's fault. It wasn't black people's fault. It was, hey, Dave, you're a piece of shit. Everything that you've been given in life, you've just pissed away. And they've got the parable of the shekels in the Bible. It's kind of like the best way to put it. God had given me all these shekels, and in the Bible, God gives one guy shekels, and he goes and he hides them under a rock. He gives another guy shekels, and he squanders them away, much as I had done. And he gives the shekels to another guy. And he goes out and makes a profit on him, comes back to his master with a profit. Mm. And all of the blessings and benefits that I've been given in my life, that's my standpoint now on like what I need to do with the abilities God's given me. God's given you a lot of abilities, you a lot of abilities, giving me abilities too. He imbues all of us with innate characteristics or qualities that we can use negatively or positively, depending, or do nothing with. So Andre taught me that, and I was in rehab.
Did you start to see him as a real human then, and someone that was just like you rather than separated by skin?
Control F love. We'll just let Andre say it. Because I want
David handed me that chip and told me he loved me, and I think I'm going to make it this time because I've got him as a friend.
Long story short, Andre didn't make it. I don't think he did. I know he didn't make it with sobriety. I did. And so I'm like super fortunate to be sitting here, man. I never forget that. And Andre, and there was another guy by the name of Demetrius that was a Crip that was there too. And he had both of his front teeth knocked out. I used to have a tooth. I got knocked out in Mexico while I was at work. And I got put back in twice, but the titanium stud came out. But Demetrius was a Crip, had both of his teeth knocked out. I would go back and give Demetrius food, cigarettes, and all this stuff. So no, I'm not racist, but I'm also not apologizing to anybody out in internet land because I was imperfect and lived an imperfect existence. You're no one that I need to apologize to. I got a creator that I answer to. I have a wife that I'm beholden to, and beyond that, as long as my actions in this day and age are morally correct, and they are, I make sure I adore my wife, Julian. I'm not going to get all caught up in this woke, he needs to prostrate himself before all of social justice kingdom. I'm not doing that.
I got you. Look, you and you know what you see when you look in the mirror. None of us know that. You know what the truth is about your life and what you've made out of it, and how you believe you've changed and everything. And I think that's enough. And like, if people want to talk in comment sections, they're going to do that with everyone.
I least invite of which them to, is you. Please do. But I want to make that point super clear, because when you go to Mexico and you're handed a machine gun and you're told to go get cartels, it can come off a certain way.
Sure.
Which is why it's important to pull up something that happened.
But you're also working with Mexicans, and we're going to talk about this in a few minutes here.
Okay.
But I just want to finish this loop. So you get out of rehab, you're sober, and you've been sober to this day?
Well, no, I was sober. We'll get to that too, because there's that. Fucking strawberry daiquiris, man. So anyways, my ex-wife divorces me within a month of me going to rehab. She just wanted to make sure. Yeah, so I had all that shit to go on too.
And the daughter's born at this point?
Yeah, and she's born. And on top of it, I pursued that woman for like 2 years because I don't believe in divorce, man. And I know I'm a horrible fucking example of it. And the wife that I have right now, we've been together 13 years. Congrats. She's my third wife. Thanks. But
third time's a charm.
Third time's a charm. The first wife, I pursued her for like 2 years until someone told me, hey, you know what? You should stop pursuing that because it's not healthy. And then right after I went out, I was hanging out with the homies. I had a motorcycle. I go over. So she divorces me and I get out of rehab and I'm doing good. I'm coming up with some money legally, all of it legally, working out all the time. And, I go back to the homeboy's house and they've got all of this fucking marijuana and shit. And they're like, hey, and I'm playing cards. And they're like, hey, do you want some weed? And I'm like, no, I don't want any weed. I've been sober like 17 months or some shit. They're like, do you want a line of speed? And I'm like, no, I don't want any fucking speed. And then they asked me, like, do you want a strawberry daiquiri? And we're playing cards. On a table not unlike this, except it was round. I'm like, I fucking love a strawberry daiquiri. So I have a drink of a strawberry daiquiri and I piss away the 2 years I've got, or a year and a half, whatever it was. And so I tell them, I'm like, hey, you guys need to give me some drugs or I'm going to go get, I'll leave that part out of it. I'm going to go get something. I'm going to come back and rob you. And they didn't want to give me drugs, not because they were afraid of me, but they didn't want to contribute to my downfall, but they were, but it was also my fault. Now, I've explained this on Johnny Mitchell's thing too. So they wind up giving me some shit and immediately I'm back into some shit that almost wound up being another life term in prison, man. And we go to this, I had my best friend was not hooked up at all with this prison gang. And even though I wasn't hooked up with this prison gang, I was friends with all of them. And we're selling drugs. And there's this love triangle going on.
Where are you? L.A.?
L.A., yeah.
Okay, so you went back to L.A.
Yeah, well, L.A.'s home, man. I mean, yeah.
Behind.
Well, the daughter's in L.A. too. They're both in Palmdale, which is just north of L.A. by an hour.
But you, at this point, you're not seeing her.
No, definitely fucking not, man. No, no way. So this love triangle goes on and my best friend lumps this dude up and there was a chick there. It was her love triangle thing and she was going to the car to go pull out a gun and I was not very kind to her, but necessarily so because she was going to pull out a gun and either give it to the guy and have him shoot us or give it to herself and have her shoot us herself. So this was going on. These two people come back to this drug house where we're selling drugs out of it to shoot us. And we find out about it because they come by when we're not there. And oddly enough, one of the guys is sober to this day. And he'll probably see this, but whatever. It is what it is. And when he got sober, he wanted to be friends, man, with me. This is before I got sober, but I got sober not long after. We'll get into that. And so we go to go look for these guys because you can't leave something like that out there floating around because it's going to be your demise quickly. Evidenced by the whole FBI RICO thing. So we go back to this house and my friend punks out because he's really not, he was very good at slinging dogs, but he was not down with like crazy violence at all. And we go back and it was me and one of my Latino buddies. Cause ironically, believe it or not, white supremacists and Latinos get along sometimes, even it's the craziest fucking thing, man, but it's true. Even in prison, they get along. They align against, Northerners.
Just put that whole belief system aside, huh?
They're cool people, man.
Yeah, but listen, it's the law of convenience, I guess. Yeah,
but you can look it up. Yeah, it's really a thing, man.
I'm happy to see you guys reach out and get some diversity, you know. It's good for you.
They're pretty cool people, man. You know what? I don't have any problems with Latinos at all. Never really have. Unless they're in a gang and they're trying to actively hurt me, I don't give a fuck, man. Go do what you're going to do. I mean, legally, of course, but I mean.
I got you.
So I go back to this house and there's this stripper chick in there that we used to date. And I'm sitting there doing some drugs and I've got something right in front of me and there's a microwave in front of me and it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And I was sitting there. It was my dear God moment. It's when I got sober. July 18th, 1997 at 1 o'clock p.m. I got sober. I was struck sober. Because I was in dread fear because this guy shows up, one of the guys that came over to shoot us. And there's a whole bunch of people in this house. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, fuck, I'm afraid because I was like, is this all my life's ever going to be? I'd been sober. I pissed it away over a strawberry daiquiri. I'm sitting there in front of that window. And if it seems like I'm trying to like go faster, it's only because over the course of this last year, I've told this story a few times now, but the details are all the same. I'm sitting there and Cecilia is worried about what's going on or what's about to happen. So she runs outside to this guy and he's out there in his car, and I'm sitting in the kitchen window looking out on the Lindley Avenue in the valley. And I'm afraid, and I'm sitting there having this dear God prayer. I'm like, God, if you get me out of this situation, I'll get sober forever, because I was afraid that the guy was going to come in and I'm going to kill him in front of all these witnesses. And as soon as the police are going to tell the people that, hey, you're accessory to murder, they're going to testify you. So I'm going to spend the rest of my life in San Quentin. Mm. Or the guy's going to come in and he's legit going to kill me. And I was just thinking how jacked up that was going to, that was going to be the totality of my life. Dave Frank, his life is over because he's fucking had a strawberry daiquiri, and because he can't pull his head out of his ass fast enough to get sober or figure out that every problem in my life was my fault. And when I went to rehab, I got sober immediately after that. And I met Andre there, and Andre is who got me sober.
Wait, is that the second time?
That's the second. Actually, no. That was the first time,
and
I
was just confused.
Yeah, I got confused.
We were talking
because
about
I was in that. I was in that rehab twice.
Yeah, so this moment,
it was the first time,
right?
And so the second time I got sober, yeah, because this is 95, and then I got sober July 18th, 1997. Correct? Because I get
back
confused.
To rehab
for a month.
And you avoided obviously doing
ever since I've been. Yeah, ever since. Well,
no, but in that situation,
in that moment. Right. Oh, so yeah, Cecilia goes outside and tells the guy that I'm inside. Because I didn't know how the fuck I was going to get out of that problem. And I was afraid because nobody there was a punk either. I mean, everybody there is completely cool with like being violent. And I went to my sister's apartment on Orion Street, which is also like super gang neighborhood. It's funny. And I was watching these people come over by my house because I lived in the apartment right across the hallway from my sister. And I told this guy by the name of Russ McDowell was the counselor there at the time, that if I don't get in rehab, I'm either going to die or spend the rest of my life in prison. And he got me a bed at that rehab, and I was there for a month, just long enough to get sober. And then I started working the steps, and I've been sober for over 28 years, going on 29 years.
Good for you, man.
Well, it's just, I've been gifted sobriety. There's work. It's not like it's just going to rub some sticks together and then it comes.
No. I mean, look, you took a lot of damage there on the way, self-inflicted, as you said. You joined hate organizations. You messed up marriages, left a daughter behind. Obviously, were involved in violent situations, dealing drugs, doing drugs. These are all objectively awful things. But to be able to, beat it and then kind of lose to it, but then be like, fuck it, this is it. Like, I'm going to die if I don't do this.
Well, there's only one way to become self-aware. So the fourth step is we made a searching and fearless moral inventory. The steps of any 12-step program are basically, I can't, he can't, so I'll let him. So admitting you're powerless. Came to admitting we were powerless over alcohol and that our lives are becoming unmanageable. But the third one, I can't, he can, so I'll let him. The fourth one, I don't want to get in a great big diatribe about the steps. The fourth one is made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. And then on the fifth one is to reveal that to somebody else. And it's a very humbling act to reveal everything, because you write down everything that you've done wrong in your life on a piece of paper.
Is that very hard to look at when you're done?
Totally, because it's a lot of people are like, oh, it's all the criminal shit. No, the fuck it's not. That's why you're not sober. If you do a fourth or fifth step, I guarantee you, and you do it thoroughly, you'll probably stay sober, because you're confronting all the deepest secrets of yourself. Fucking dude trying to sexually molest you as a kid or whatever, man. All the stuff that makes you feel little and small, you put it on that piece of paper and you get over it, man. And I did tell the guy that I told it to, I'm like, if you ever spill a word of this, I'll end you. Because it was embarrassing, man. Yeah. It really was. But you learn a lot about yourself in the process. So every deficiency I have in my life is my fault and my responsibility to fix, because no one else is going to do it for you. As a result, I was a pretty good second husband when I wound up in Russia trying to find a way to go hunt Al-Qaeda, because the United States military would not let me join. I went down to enlist in the military in this country 7 times.
I'm going to cut you off right there, Dave. This is the end of episode 1. We've been talking for about 3 hours here. I need to go out and take a piss real fast. So we're going to come back and talk about whatever the fuck you just mentioned right there. And this is where we're going to get into how you end up in Mexico and what you did down there, working with the Mexican military, hunting cartels, and all this crazy shit. You are a fascinating guy, my man. So
I hope I'm not boring, man.
No, you're not boring. I can tell you. You're a lot of things. You're not fucking
I'm just
boring.
trying to be thorough, man. And,
I hear you. So everyone else out there, hit that subscribe button. Like the video, please. I appreciate all you guys watching. We will see you for the second episode of this in a week or two. Keep your eyes out on that. And we'll be right back. Thank you guys for watching the episode. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and smash that like button on the video. They're both a huge, huge help. And if you would like to follow me on Instagram and X, those links are in my description below.